All right, so everyone, welcome to the end of October 2020 meetup for the South Florida Unity3D user group. We're also the Magic Leap user group and a lot of other things. So we're officially the Florida Game Developer Association. So we'll have our co-organizer, Angelo, introduce himself, and we'll go around the room introducing all the other co-organizers.
Hey, I'm Angelo Caruso. I'm a amateur game developer, and I run the Discord server. My day job is a mechanical engineer, but I'm really into developing games as a side gig, I guess. And have organized some community projects in the past for game dev. We've done with the FGDA one community project so far, and I think Thompson has done a second one. So that's that's what I've been doing, and more recently getting into doing some game jams.
Great. So Scarlett, you're muted still. Scarlett, you're all right. Paul.
All right. Okay.
All right. There you are, Scarlett. Go ahead.
Yeah. Okay, perfect. Thank you, guys. Hi, everybody. My name is Scarlett Arana. I'm the CEO of XR Labs, which is a co-creation labs. I'm here to talk a little bit about some of the stuff we've been doing on a Burning Man event that we just had recently. Basically, we're always looking to co-create with different part of the community and just essentially doing different amazing projects. So we definitely look forward to talking a little bit about what we did on our last event, and hopefully, if anybody interested of joining us for the near future for an XR Burning Man event.
Awesome. Paul?
That's okay. I'll just pass it. Go ahead.
Hey guys, so my name is Paul Bronstein. I'm the CEO of XR Labs, and along here with Scarlett, we're building up an XR community grassroots to a global level, and we're tackling the what solutions a business needs or a client, or what exactly can XR bring to enhance your reality. So we're here to enjoy and work with the community. Very thankful to Prob for bringing us in, and really happy here to enjoy this evening with you guys.
Sure. Yeah. So the reason why we call them co-organizers is, if you guys have noticed, when we do these large statewide game jams and conferences, we always have a organizing group with partner organizations. So University of Miami at Blockchain Center, when we do a lot of things with the Magic Leap, when we have 30 Magic Leap headsets laid out, we always need other organizations to help us. So XR Labs has been very helpful to our community down here. So that's great. Is Anthony here? All right. Yeah, so we'll wait on Anthony. But Rod, so we have our first winner here tonight. So Rod, why don't you briefly introduce yourself, and then we'll do a longer, we're gonna actually play Rod's Baby Yoda game tonight as well. Rod? All right. There's that. Okay, so let's go into the meetup now. So yeah, it's very much a great pleasure to have three of our favorite Leaper alumni. I'm not sure what the official term is. And we actually have a history with all three great, amazing former Leapers here. Since you guys this is your first actual meetup, Anastasia, Sarah, Tim, your friend James Powderly's realized this. Like we're very choosy about who we invite to be speakers here at FGDA, since we are a user group. We do want to prioritize people who are going to be part of the community, basically our peers. So we've had a pretty strict up to this point, no executive rule, or just no, someone's going to bring a PowerPoint. We actually want people who actually want to be involved. And also the second reason for that is, if we start bringing CEOs and this and that, people who aren't involved, then it'll be hard for their employees to also speak. So always feel like, they're second runner up, right? So we want to start out with the actual people doing the work, the artists, the sound designers, the engineers, the game designers. That's who we focus on first and foremost. So basically, brief introductions to everyone. Tim went to University of Miami, he and I met at UM over the last couple of years since he and I both been back down here, and I'll let Tim introduce himself in a second. Anastasia and I first met at one of my first Unity events in LA, of all places, at Microsoft headquarters. And then I was still living in LA, and then she kind of like fell off the grid, right? Kind of wondering where she went, because we're actually looking for a sound designer for our movie that on Netflix, and we couldn't find her for a while. Then later on, with all the matching, it used to be all secretive. So apparently she was here, and then we got back here too. And then Sarah. So Sarah is actually, last time she was here, we saw Birdman together, but we had a pool table back here. So Sarah, you might see it's different back here, but we have a lot of common friends. And Tim, why don't you introduce yourself quickly? I mean, Tim's just the observer today, but he's going to be a speaker next month. All right, I know he's taking care of his kids, so we'll go right into the presentations then. Sarah, do you want to start, introduce yourself, and then Anastasia, and then we'll go back to you, Sarah, with your actual presentation.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you loud and clear.
Hi, so my name is Sarah Machicado, and I'm a graphic designer based in Miami, Florida. I've been working at Magic Leap for about 6 years. And I got laid off in April, and currently I'm doing a year-long creative sabbatical. So yeah, that's what I'm up to.
So one thing that all of our friends at FGD have in common is they're very, we have to like prime them for them, because they're very humble. So Sarah is like an amazing artist, and the cool things always seem to happen around her, and she shows up in these mysterious places. So if I ever imagine like a Buddha type figure, right, rising mysteriously from a lotus, it'll be Sarah. Like one time I was out in like middle of like Coconut Grove at, trying to find a gym, and she was in the lobby, right, just randomly trying to check in. So that kind of stuff happens to Sarah. And then other time, like we randomly took like a road trip to a comedy club in Naples first time. So if you guys want a cool friend to have an adventure with, like just hang around within like 2 degrees of Sarah, and cool things start happening to you. Cool as in like interesting, that's all I'll keep it at. So yeah, she's gonna have a really cool opening talk tonight. And Anastasia?
Yeah, hi everyone. Name is Anastasia Devana. So
Sorry.
Anastasia, no, it's okay. It's a hard one. So Trans was nice to see you. That's how you remember it. So up until this past April, I was audio director at Magic Leap, basically running a whole audio team, creating spatial audio content for first-party experiences. Prior to that, I was worked on some kind of early VR was a long time ago, but there was kind of like 5-6 years ago, that was kind of like the resurgence. So I worked on some spatial audio VR stuff there. And then before that, I was a composer for a few years for like film and TV and video games. And then before that, I was a software engineer. So different careers. And now I'm, just doing freelance, like some XR development, some prototyping, kind of audio direction stuff, consulting.
So, a lot of startups, sometimes the measure of startup is what happens to the people after the startup. Like, like Silicon Valley as we know it is formed by the PayPal mafia. Like Elon Musk, YouTube, all this is started by ex-PayPal people. So we've been tracking about, what's happening to you guys, right? What are you guys doing after Magic Leap? And so far, we got to say Anastasia is in a lead. She's had an amazing 2 weeks. I'm sure she'll go into it, but she's blowing up everywhere, Twitter, LinkedIn, and everything. Some cool new projects. So yeah, some pretty interesting things. So I don't want to steal her thunder, but stay tuned next after the second talk tonight. So Rod, we'll get back to you in a second during the actual award ceremony, and then. All right, Sarah, go ahead. You can start your presentation. You can share your screen as well. And for everyone else, if you can mute yourself while Sarah is presenting, and then we'll unmute during the, since this is normally the way our user group works is, people are allowed to interrupt during the presentation and ask questions to a free-flowing conversation. But since we have newcomers, Anastasia, Sarah, never actually presented before, maybe we should give them some a little bit of leeway rather than interrupting every other second. So if you can, just this one time, save your questions to the end, as opposed to our normal interrupting everyone, which is, we're amongst friends. So go ahead, Sarah.
All right. Can you guys see my screen? Can you see the first slide here?
Yep.
All right. Hello, I'm Sarah Machicado, and I'm a visual designer based in Miami. I was a visual designer at Magic Leap for about 6 years. When I started Magic Leap, I was on the brand team, then I switched to the UX team around 2016. I was laid off in April of this year, and currently I'm on a year-long creative sabbatical, teaching myself how to code, taking animation and creative writing courses, revamping my portfolio, and taking a much-needed break. After my sabbatical, I plan to transition my career to a more technical role. I want to become a UI engineer. So let's talk about emojis. Emojis originated in Japan and translate to emotion characters in Japanese. So I'm going to go over a very brief history of emojis. Emojis began with emoticons in the 80s, using text characters from keyboard to express emotions. In the late 90s, various tech companies from Japan created the very first emoji sets. But due to the technology constraints at the time, emojis had limited colors and were 16-bit graphics. Fast forward to 2010, the Unicode Consortium officially added emojis to the Unicode standard. The consortium is a nonprofit group dedicated to creating common text standards across computers. In 2011, Apple debuted the first emoji keyboard, which allowed emojis to be popularized around the world. And as recent as 2014, people started having online debates, and they were focused on how emojis don't really represent the mass amount of people that use it, like their cultures and their identities. So let's talk about the Magic Leap emojis. Before I jumped into designing the emojis, I took a step back and did a fair amount of research about the emojis and how it culturally impacts everyone every day. It is considered a universal language, and with that, there is a lot of responsibility to maintain a standard and what the emoji should be according to the Magic Leap brand. So I came up with a few key concepts. The first one, self-identify, representing and depicting humans to be recognizable to allow people to self-identify with an emoji. For example, Google's early human emojis were amorphous blobby characters, and it was pretty much disliked by a lot of people, and it wasn't taken positively because it had limited human features. True to its meaning, representing objects to be true to its meaning. Some current emojis do have a double meaning suggesting like erotic human body parts. Emojis are not just for adults. Many younger audiences do use emojis every day. For example, in 2016, Apple updated their peach emoji to look more like a peach, but was reverted back to be the sexy peach by popular demand. Clear communication. Emojis are available on many different platforms. This increases the possibility of miscommunication because it's not all the same emoji design. To minimize this, emoji should be clear to its meaning or emotion. Here is an example of the beaming face with smiley eyes. Back in 2015, the same emoji kind of looks positive for certain platforms, but look negative in others. For example, like Samsung and Apple, one looks happier than the other. Inclusion. Eliminating gender stereotypes by expanding the emoji language to represent diverse ethnicity, religion, culture, and sexual orientation is important. For a very long time, women had limited options of emojis. Women were typically depicted to be wearing leotards or dancing or having their hair cut. It wasn't until 2016 when the Unicode changed that and added more options, such as women of color for different professions and religious attires. So what does a on-brand Magic Leap emoji look like? Well, that's kind of like a loaded question because the Magic Leap visual brand history kind of went all over the place for the past decade. When I first started around 2014, I did see Magic Leap's first logo, which is actually not online anywhere, but based on my memory, it kind of looked like this graphic of a frog jumping. It had like a frog jumping, and it had like in serif text Magic Leap. And I believe the frog was also wearing a top hat. But that was their first logo. Around 2014, it had taken on like this comic book imagery. That's because Anthony Williams and Andy Landing were kind of like early members of Magic Leap back then. Around 2015, with Magic Leap's first chief marketing officer, Brian Wallace, kind of took on this hyper surreal imagery, and the logo also got an update. In 2017, this very famous design firm called Pentagram, they took on the task of rebranding Magic Leap, and they were really trying to push Magic Leap to not be like a red company. They wanted the company to be like more of a white or iridescent company, and so that's why the leaper here is kind of like all these sort of different colors. And they kind of labeled this direction to be called playful premium. Around 2018 or mid 2017, I started working on a Magic Leap emoji family set. And shortly after that, Magic Leap's brand kind of focused more towards like enterprise and was designed by 4 people and internally by the Magic Leap brand team. And so when I designed the emojis, I had to kind of like think about visually what the Magic Leap brand would be for the emojis. So here is like an image of all of the industrial design work led by Gary Natsume, and also the logo rebrand from Pentagram. And what really what the language was in common for all this was like circles. So taking the idea of circles and translating it to emojis was kind of like my main inspiration. And also another inspiration I had was the system icons. On my time in Magic Leap, I worked on over like 200 system icons. And one of the main key characteristics for these icons were using kind of like a 90-degree angle for all these graphics, as well as like rounded corners and circles. So emoji designs. Here's an image of grinning face, and taking the idea of circles, I used it a lot in the eyes and some of the facial features and expressions. So everything would have like rounded corners, all of the curves of the mouths were all circle based, and a lot of the face expressions also were using concentric circles. And I fit it inside this grid and utilize kind of like this kawaii style to have the eyes expressions, and also using the 90-degree angles for the eyebrows, the slices of the eyes to make this frowny face was also 90-degree, and keeping the emojis kind of within a 1-to-1 ratio grid. So these hands, for example, would fit nicely inside this 1-to-1 grid. Also using the system icons as an inspiration. For instance, the heart is actually a rounded, more like friendly version of the heart system icon. And here's a complete set that I've worked on. This is a 2D version. My favorite one is the poop one. It's actually envisioned to have like kind of these googly eyes. Also collaborated with the ID team, and my friend from the ID team, William Wheeler, worked on the emojis and made them in 3D. So another kind of like characteristics that we envision these emojis to have is like kind of like this M&M body shape, not keeping them perfectly spherical, but this kind of like would make it unique in its own. We did hire a company called Buck. They're like world famous animation studio based in LA, and they worked on doing the animations for all of these. And it was pretty fun and pretty good learning experience for me to be on the client end with working with Buck, because like they're really awesome. And I'm gonna play a video showing the emojis in use. Oops, how do I go back? It's me. And thank you. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them. And also, if anyone's interested in pitching a new emoji to the consortium, like we can collab on that. My information's also on this page. Thank you.
Great. Yeah, great presentation. Thanks a lot, Sarah. And yeah, anyone who has a question, please unmute yourself. I see Justin's got a question now as well. Justin, if you can unmute yourself and ask your question.
Oh, why
Yeah,
are
sure.
emojis usually circular?
There he is. Yeah, he unmuted himself.
Okay.
Hey, thanks, Sarah, for the presentation. So my first question is, yeah, it's pretty interesting how you had talked about the evolution of emojis, and then you brought in how some companies would post emojis and bring them back, or have some issues with some and then bring them back sometimes. So I'm wondering how magically when you're working there, how did you obtain user feedback from the end users and then iterate on those feedbacks?
So before, Sarah, before you answer, Justin, why don't you introduce your background of being all your film background, all that stuff, visual VFX, so she knows the context of your question.
I'm sorry, film?
Yeah, I mean, why don't you just introduce your background, it's fine. And so she has.
Oh,
where you're
yeah,
from.
yeah. Well, I'm not in film, but I am in LA. So that's what we talked about before. I'm currently trying to get into product management in the XR space, and I have an automotive and educational background. I guess I met you. Where did we meet? That was another meetup, I think. But just really interested in these topics. So thanks for presenting, Sarah.
Cool. So wait, your question was why are they usually circular, right?
No, so my first question is the feedback process and how do you integrate that into the development? And then, yeah, the second question would be, I find them usually circular. It'd be funny to hear how that is, why that's true.
Okay, so for feedback, it was mainly all decided internally moving forward. So it typically Magic Leap doesn't like try to show much of their work. A lot of NDAs are being signed even to have people like walk in the building. And Emojis actually just went through one round of iteration, which was meant for like launch. And since then, I don't think it has been updated to gain users' feedbacks. But I would say maybe like there was some internal feedback with marketing team and industrial design team and any other team that was like involved with social app. And I guess the other question is like why they're usually circular, right? I think emojis usually are in like a spherical form. If you think about like, this is silly, but the Emoji movie, like all of their characters are complete spheres, if I remember. But the kind of like reasoning behind the M&M shape was maybe trying to keep it closer to some of the 3D forms that the ID team has created. For example, the Power Pack, even though it's not a completely like M&M shape, it is kind of like it's more of like a flat, like circular disc shape, and kind of making that more of like a like chubby or puffy version of that was kind of like the intent. Yeah.
Great. Any more questions for Sarah? I mean, you don't have to limit it to just her presentation. She's a fountain of knowledge.
Bro, I have a question.
Yeah, who's speaking?
Sadiq.
Oh.
Hello.
Hello, Sadiq. I got a question. You mentioned about the 8 and 16-bit emojis in the 80s and 90s. What are the numbers in 2000, year 2000? 64, 32, or?
Oh, there has been like more modern emojis after the ones from the 90s. I believe AOL made their own emoji set, which is MSN, right? Also, Apple had a bunch of early emojis, as well as Google before 2010. I kind of like just fast forwarded in my presentation to talk about the really early ones, because it's interesting that the early ones are still kind of like in use today. For example, the poop emoji, the brightness emoji, all the smileys. Yeah. And I hope that answered your question.
That's great. And Sarah, can you put your contact information or your website in the chat? I think people might not have taken a screenshot before.
Okay.
Yeah. And any more questions for Sarah?
Hey, this is Angela. I got a quick question.
Yeah.
I thought it was really interesting how in going from 2D to 3D, you're working with the industrial design team. And I was just kind of curious, just in general, like how unified the approach was to design with the hardware as part of, it sounded like the hardware was kind of like central to the design, or at least that the consideration was kind of across the board with all the elements, which I thought was pretty interesting. Like how far did that extend in your guys' process?
I would say the idea of circles was kind of like early on in the company, probably like around 2017, like a few years before I worked on emojis. And in that slide where I show you like all the products like next to each other, the ID team kind of like coined the circle idea. And there is a lot of like reason behind it, kind of like metaphorically. But mainly like the circle was meant to be kind of like the equivalent of the Coca-Cola can for Magic Leap. So if you think about a Coke can, like it's a kind of an iconic shape. Everyone recognizes it. And so the idea is like everyone would recognize the circle and they'll know it's Magic Leap, especially for the eyewear. And like I said in my presentation, like since the brand was kind of like all over the place for a while, and especially when I worked on the emojis, like trying to kind of unify it was always the intention behind it too, with everything else. Yeah.
Great. So we're going to be doing like play testing, including Rod's game. So if you're just around later, you can probably give us critiques on some of our work. And I think Scarlett and Paul are going to be going.
One more question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, Sarah, I guess out of your presentation, you know, one thing that kind of made me curious is why did you outsource the animation portion of your? Well, if you had the teams inside to do 3D rendering and things like that, I was kind of surprised to hear that you outsourced that.
That was outsourced because the goal was to have everything done quickly for launch time, and the team I was in is limited resources, and it's just better to contract those types of jobs. So it's pretty much like meeting a deadline, the resources, a bunch of different things. And also like our internal like teams that do work on similar things, like Magic Leap Studios, they have their own projects they're focused on. And so there wasn't a possibility to share those types of resources.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. So just a schedule for the rest of the evening, an update. It doesn't look like Anthony's going to be here, or at least I don't see so far. So we'll have a fill-in. Scarlett will present the virtual Burning Man experiences, which was a worldwide phenomenon this summer, and largely made in Miami. At least one of the cool verses was made in Miami. So she'll wear that. So it's actually a pretty cool little thing going on. So thanks, Sarah. And so Anastasia, Anastasia. I got to say it like the Billy Joel song.
Yeah. Anastasia.
Anastasia, yeah. I gotta like relate it to like, it's Hollywood's fault because everyone else in Hollywood, right? When they have the name of the character, they don't pronounce it that way.
Mm.
Have a song or something.
Yep. Just remember, nice to see you.
Yeah, so it's a really pleasure to have you here. We've been trying actually for a long time to have her as a speaker. So let's make use of it because I'm sure she's gonna get super busy after this. She's been, like I said, she's been blowing up online the last 2 weeks. So floor is yours.
Thank you. Well, you're overselling it. I don't know about this blown up thing. All right, let me try to share. Let's see if I can figure that out. Sorry, 1 second. Present.
Oh, looks like Anthony is here, so I guess we'll do both Scarlett and Anthony tonight since we already introduced Scarlett. Can't no take backs.
Oh no, sorry. Oh my gosh. So I need to give permission. Okay, I'm sorry, I'm gonna need to drop out for like 1 minute and come right back because I need to like do the settings thing.
Sure, no problem. So
sorry about that. 1 moment.
We'll just go around the room introducing everyone then. Why don't you just, whoever wants to start out first, why don't you just unmute yourself, introduce yourself. We normally do this at the beginning of a meetup, but since we had 2 keynotes, so unmute yourself and introduce yourself, who, you know, because there's a lot of newcomers here, apparently. Yeah, Anthony, why don't you introduce yourself first? You're going to be a speaker tonight.
Hi, can you guys see me? I can't see myself. Can you guys see me or?
Yep, yeah, we can see you.
Okay, you can hear me. Okay, great. I'm Anthony. I'm here in Miami. I'm a VR developer. I use Unreal Engine and Cinema 4D, ZBrush, Marvelous Designer, and Substance Painter are my current favorite toys. I've messed around a little with Houdini and their GameJam kit, and that seems pretty cool. For now, I'm sticking to Unreal Engine mostly, and I've been doing, besides the game design stuff, I did this thing with Metaburn. Some of you guys probably familiar with one of the worlds was Playa VR, which was a VR version of a Burning Man VR thing. So I created that and had a small team.
So Anthony, Scarlett is going to present. Why don't you co-present with Scarlett then? She's going to present that later tonight. So I guess more presentations tonight then.
Oh,
So,
okay, cool, yeah.
Well, and he mentioned Unreal Engine. We generally don't let our worlds collide, but I also organize the Unreal Florida user group down here as well. So we're the official Unreal Engine user group as well. But yeah, he brought it up, so we're responding. So Anastasia, you can take back over now. And we'll go through introductions of everyone else in the room after Anastasia's done presenting.
All right, so everybody can see my screen, right? It says something about spatial audio.
Yep.
Okay, awesome. All right, so thank you for joining, everyone. Glad to be here. Like Pravi said, like we've talked about it for a while about me presenting at this meetup. So I'm actually gonna do kind of like a reprise of a talk I did a couple of weeks ago. It was a Film Miami kind of workshop. So I did kind of an overview of spatial audio. So I'll probably do like an even better version of it because I practice now, but we'll see. So like I said, my name is Anastasia Devana. Kind of don't really know what my actual like tagline is now because I've done too many different things. But like I mentioned already, I do some combination now of freelance, which includes like spatial audio consulting and just general development for XR. And like I also said, I was audio director at Magic Leap. So if you guys like tried any of the first party experiences, like Create, The Last Light, Undersea, Painting Pales, my team worked on all of those, and also the actual like audio UX, for the actual device, like all the sounds. We actually worked on some emoji sounds, but unfortunately those never made it in because that's not enterprise. But those are fun. And speaking of emojis, I think I have that coming up somewhere. Let's see. So the title. Oh yeah, sorry. Yeah, wear headphones. Yes. I'm not doing a better job than 2 weeks ago. But so I was gonna say wear headphones, but maybe because there's like so many people on the call, maybe we'll like skip the examples, because I would just have you guys like open up a YouTube video and listen a little bit. But that might get like a little unruly. So, if you want to like listen to an example of spatial audio after this, just write down a couple of like names of YouTube videos that I'm going to give you, and then you can check them out later. And then apropos, I have emojis here because I was gonna say that sometimes it's a little weird to present on this on this like events when everybody's muted, and I don't know what people's reactions are. So feel free to like put something in chat if you agree or disagree, or if you have a question, or if you like my joke. I'll try to make it.
Normally at our presentations, people are unmuted and they can also interrupt and just have a free-flowing conversation. So if you're okay with that, then that's fine. That's what our normal meetup structure is anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I'm fine with whatever is everybody comfortable with. Just again, just maybe give me a little feedback if something hit the spot or not, or if you hate it. All right, moving on. So yes, the title, as you can see, it's titled something about spatial audio, the rant. So it's actually a funny story. So I enjoyed it, so I kept it. So basically, when the organizers of that Filmgate Miami workshop, they asked me to join and present there. It was about a month ago, and I said yes, and then I got busy, with some work, and they were emailing me, and they're like, "Hey, can you give us your bio and your picture and a synopsis of what you're going to talk about in the title?" And I kind of like dropped the ball because I'm terrible. So then the organizer emailed me again, and she's like, "Hey, I put something together for you, but like it would be really nice to get your feedback on it, like if this sounds right." And I dropped the ball again because I'm terrible. And then on the week of the workshop, I went to see. I'm like, okay, what the hell am I, going to talk about? So I saw this. It was called Mothership, a series of talks, rants, and panels on XR. And I was like, ooh, rants. That's cool. I haven't done a rant before. That might be interesting. And then I was like, well, what is my talk supposed to be about?
So first interruption. Sorry, she actually did a talk with Kurt Hallowell. Kurt Hallowell is a current Magic Leap employee and is a regular at our user group. He's spoken to us several times, and he's also part of our blockchain organization. He represents Magic Leap on the WAX blockchain council. They meet once a quarter with Unity, Microsoft, Google, Magic Leap, and also we got William Shatner, Captain Kirk of all people, on the council as well. So you guys might have seen the William Shatner interview in the same room. So yeah. So Kurt was definitely very, very instrumental in helping us grow this user group as well. Thanks, Anastasia.
Cool. Yeah. So anyway, I'm trying to figure out what I'm supposed to talk about, and I find the description of my talk, and specifically this part that says something about spatial audio, and I thought that was perfect. For a couple of reasons. So one is like, I hope that people would actually learn something about spatial audio. But then there's another reason that I kind of talk about later, and that's going to be the rant. So, you got something to look forward to. But I'm not going to rant the whole time. Instead, I'll try to do kind of a high level of overview. What is spatial audio, why it's important, what are some of the techniques of doing spatial audio, and some best practices. So what is spatial audio? Great question. I actually don't have like a definition yet. I'm going to try to work on it and try to figure out like the definition that I like. But I guess you could say there's like a technical definition, and there's a definition of what people mean when they say spatial audio. So I would say technical definition, spatial audio is like any sound that's not mono, right? That like, if you can tell, even if it's coming from the right or the left, that's kind of spatial, right? Because it has like some kind of information that's located in space. So in that way, I think technically like even stereo is spatial audio, like, okay, guitars on the right and drums on the left. But that's not what people mean when they say spatial audio these days. So that's what I'm gonna try to define. So I Googled what is spatial audio and found a bunch of interesting definitions. So spatial audio is designed to deliver surround sound and 3D audio via headphones. That wasn't it. Because like, first of all, what is 3D audio, right? And it doesn't have to come over headphones. So that's not really accurate. No. Okay, another try from NPR. In general, the term spatial audio is used to broadly mean audio that is not mono. Okay, so they're going like with the technical definition. But like I said, that's not what people mean when they say spatial audio. So no. PCMag, audio amplification and speaker technologies that reproduce the spaciousness of sound. That's just like ridiculous. That's a no. Spatial audio is a way of creating sound in 360 degrees around the listener. Sound can come from any place in a sphere, and that's from BBC. So that one I think is fairly close. That's close to how I would define it. And there's another one that I like too, from Abbey Road. Spatial audio is any audio which gives you a sense of space beyond conventional stereo, allowing the user to pinpoint where sound is coming from, whether this is above, below, or a full 360 degree around you. I think that's a pretty close, pretty fair definition of spatial audio. So let's go with that. All right, we'll play a game. It's going to be a really easy, really easy game. Is this spatial audio? It's going to be easy because they're just going to go in order. Okay, so positional audio, right? When people say positional, yeah, that's spatial audio. It's kind of just another way of saying spatial audio. Binaural, yes, because binaural is basically a stereo recording, but when you listen to it, it does appear spatial, right? The sounds do appear to come from behind, above, and 360 degrees around you. So I'm going to go with yes. Binauralized, it's basically audio that was converted to binaural through some kind of algorithm. So that's a yes, spatial audio. 360, sure. That's kind of another way of saying spatial audio. Ambisonic, it's a format for representing spatial audio. So that's a yes. Object-based audio, yes. So basically like what you use in a game engine most of the time, or something like Dolby Atmos, those are object-based. So that's going to be a yes. HRTF is a term related to spatial audio. So that's basically an algorithm for converting, mono object-based sounds into binauralized audio. See, it's all tied together. Multi-speaker arrays, yes. So it's basically like reproducing sound over like many speakers that are positioned in space. So yes, you do get sound from above, below, behind, and all that stuff. What is not spatial audio? Mono, no. Stereo, well, like I said, technically probably yes, but again, not when we talk about it in like the context of XR. Sometimes kind of. Immersive, well, immersive is just really vague, right? Like probably like a mono sound can be immersive just because it like puts you into the time and space and story. So immersive is just more of like, it doesn't really mean anything or means everything to everyone. So surround is basically no, I guess, in terms of XR. But, you could have, 360 audio that then gets converted and reproduced over surround speakers. So that's why it's sometimes kind of 3D audio. So that's a fun one. So I like the term 3D for spatial audio, but game engines have ruined it for us. They basically told everybody a lie. So if you open, Unity, say, I think Unreal is the same. But if you open it right now and you have the little slider between like 2D and 3D, so the 2D audio is actually BS, right? There's no two dimensions there. It's left and right, but that's on one, literally like on one line. It's one dimensional. So 2D audio in a game engine is actually 1D audio. And then what they say 3D audio, that's basically just like left and right and some distance attenuation. So it gets quieter as it gets further away. So those are actually two dimensions, right? It's just X and Z in Unity, right? There's no Y, there's no elevation. So that's why like sometimes people get confused and they're like, oh, well, if I just go to Unity and just do the 3D audio, that's going to be spatial, right? I'm like, well, no, because 3D is actually 2D. So thanks, Unity and everybody else.
So one of the things that, that we've taken field trips to the Florida Atlantic University Robotics Lab, and they actually have an audio studio there. It's all insulated. It's pretty cool. And I know Roni Abovitz tweeted out pictures of your work in the past on his Twitter of the look like similar sort of type of studio type thing that you built out. So wondering if maybe if you go into how you practically use some of this stuff as well in your day-to-day work. I mean, maybe you're already going to do it on your presentation as well. So
yeah, well, I'll get to some of that.
Okay.
We might have to do another talk later on because there's a lot. All right, so the next one is my favorite. It's 8D audio. So it's 8D audio is, well, first of all, it's ridiculous. There's no 8 dimensions. 8D literally doesn't mean anything. But like if you go to YouTube and like search for 8D audio, it has like millions and millions of views. And if you've never come across it, what it is basically like a great example of binauralized audio. So they typically take a song and they kind of like put it on an object and it like flies around your head, and you like listen to this song that's like, really famous songs and on headphones, and it sounds like it's just like flying around you. And that's 8D audio. So again, it's great because it like brought, some understanding to like what spatial audio sounds like, but 8D doesn't mean anything. And if you actually search for it, like you'll start seeing like 16D and 32D and like 200D. Like, I'm not even kidding you. Like, I don't, if somebody can explain to me like what 200D is, I'll be thankful. All right, so these are actual examples. So you guys can like write this down. If you go on YouTube and search for virtual barbershop, so that's the most famous, I think, example of actually a binaural recording that sort of, gives you a pretty good idea of what spatial audio sounds like. And the other good example you can find it anywhere in YouTube is like 8D audio. Just search, grab the first, a result with the most views and listen to that. All right, so how does it work, right? How do you wear these headphones on your head, right? They have like speakers like right here, or inside the ears, and at the same time you're hearing sounds that are not here but elsewhere, right, outside you. So how does it work? Let's find out if my presentation cooperates. Okay, so first we need to very briefly talk about how spatial hearing works in the first place. Like just in life, how do we know where the sound is coming from? And this is pretty well understood phenomena now. It's been understood for over 100 years. That's when the first like scientists kind of figured it out. But basically, if the sound is like, say, somewhere over here, when the sound waves, move towards me or wiggle the air wiggles, and it hits my eardrums. So because the sound is fairly slow, like compared to light, there will be a difference between the time, between when it hits my right ear and my left ear. So it will hit this ear a little bit faster. And then there's also going to be a level difference. It's going to be a little bit louder in this ear because to get to this ear, it kind of has to like travel a further distance. So that's called ITD and ILD. So interaural time difference and interaural level difference. And then the other way, how we know where sound is coming from, for example, if it's front or back, because, if you think about your math, if you have a sound here and here, they would have the exact same ITD and ILD. So how do we know if something is behind us? Well, we also have, our like actual body physicality, right? So our eardrums are not totally exposed. We actually have like the pinna, the shape of the ear, surrounding it. And then we have, the shoulders and head and stuff like that. So the sound waves have to like filter through the pinna, and then they will bounce, from our body parts before they get into the ear. So it creates filtering. So that's why the sound from behind doesn't sound the same as it does from the front, because it's like gets affected by other, by our body basically. All right, so what do we do with that? Well, the researchers figured out that they can mimic that behavior through the use of HRTF, and HRTF is head-related transfer function. So that is the function that describes basically the difference between like raw, like unadulterated sound and the sound that hits your ear, and it's based on many points in space, right? So HRTF for this point is going to be that, and for this other point is going to be that. But we actually don't really need to worry about any of that, because like that's really well understood. HRTF, like good sounding HRTFs have been around for 40 years now, I want to say. I mean, there's still like room for improvement, but kind of developers these days don't need to like apply their own HRTFs or code any like binauralizer plugins. There are tools out there that do that for us. So it's just good to know. It's kind of good to know what this is. All right, so why is spatial audio important? And I'll be talking, of course, in the context of VR, AR, this XR, all the R's, the new mediums.
Let me just ask, 'cause I know not everyone on this in our user group is into XR. There are a lot of like regular 2D game designers, but they all have to use audio. So could you maybe just step back just for a second and talk about how you got into XR? I know, like, you and I met at a regular Unity meet lecture class at Microsoft in LA, but that time I don't think you were into XR. And then I know, like, our common friends like Joe Devon in LA, a lot of people on this call actually know him. He said that your husband got a job at Magic Leap and you came out. Or what's the actual backstory of how you got into XR? That'd be interesting to hear as well.
Well, actually, funny story. So that Unity workshop where we met, I think that was the only Unity workshop that I ever went in LA.
It's kind of cool. We made this, like, those rides, the pirate ship that goes like this.
Exactly. And do you remember at the same workshop there was this guy Julian Sarmiento? Maybe, maybe not. So I met this other person at the workshop.
Yeah. Okay.
So I met this other person at the same workshop, and he worked at Mirada Studios in LA, which is Guillermo, what's his name, Del Toro's like creative house. So they do like film, TV ads and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think I remember that guy. He used to do, the person you're talking about, like, he used to come to all the VR LA stuff and showcase their what was that show that Guillermo del Toro was making with the not zombies, but it was some sort of supernatural type thing, and they did the I think that's who.
The Strain. No.
Yeah, the Strain. Yeah, and they did.
So I worked on that. I worked on that VR piece.
Oh wow.
So I actually ended up working on. They did their first VR thing. It was like for Google. They had some like Google pop-up shop. It was like one of the first like 360 video things with what's the company? Sorry, blanking out on it now. But like company that like's been around forever and does like 360 videos. So it's a collaboration with them. So I did spatial audio on that, and then I worked on spatial audio on the Strain VR experience. So that's how I got into XR.
You met him at the workshop, and then
at that same workshop. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. So I guess it's good advice for us to take the networking portion seriously later tonight.
Yeah, no, for sure. And then after I did those projects, I also, so basically, like, speaking of HRTFs, right, and the plugins, spatial audio plugins, they're still kind of a little bit of a mess. But like 5 years ago, it was, like they say, like, oh, it's wild, wild west, but like 5 years ago it was like, primordial soup or something. It was like not even, just stuff was all over the place and nothing worked. So there wasn't like a way to figure out like which spatial audio plugin was actually good, and they all had their quirks and bugs, and some of them were like total performance hogs. So as I worked on those two projects, for Mirada, basically with Mirada, I ended up trying a bunch of plugins, and then I'm like, okay, I'm gonna like write this article and take them to task, and ended up actually making like a Google Play Store app for Cardboard VR, where you could test and like listen to, I think, 4 different plugins or just like play stereo. And I wrote an article about like, what I liked about them and disliked about them, and put up like performance stats. So the article kind of like became a thing. And then I had like all these companies, like Google and Waves and DTS, and like, so everybody who like was like trying to do the 3D audio play, they like started contacting me like, hey, can you like review our plugin and let us know how it is? And shortly after that, somebody also like told me about Magic Leap, and like, hey, you should join that company. They're cool.
So it's the other way around. You got your husband the job at Magic Leap?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, I mean,
Wow.
I didn't like get him a job, but but yes. I showed his resume to a few people.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, I got to correct the story then. A lot of people in LA thought it was the other way around. So
no, of course,
Yeah.
Anyway, so should I move on?
Yeah, if anyone else has, since we already interrupted her anyway. So
Yeah, anything about what I already talked about? Like, I don't have to do my whole presentation today, because honestly, it's going to be like long, and people are going to get probably like tired. So if anybody has questions about what I already talked about, and I can talk like a little bit more, and we can stop it there, and then I can come back some other time.
actually, can you go into your new work? I think that's pretty relevant. Because I think your new work, you just open sourced it. I think people might want to use your new plugin.
Yeah, I did. So that was kind of funny too. So I don't know like how much people pay attention to, some of these things are kind of obscure, right? So, but like Apple just released their new update to the iOS 14. They announced, a few new features. So one of the features they shipped is basically a hardware update, firmware update to the AirPods Pro and actual API support. So AirPods Pro now is like the world's most ubiquitous head tracker. So these little guys have like head tracking capabilities, and the API is open. So you can like grab that information and put it into your apps. So I wanted to try that out, and probably spent a couple of days. Like I've never seen Swift or Objective-C in my life before, and I was like, okay, let's do this. So I ended up like writing a little plugin that gets that data from the API and exposes it to Unity. Yeah, let me find.
That's awesome. So I
posted like a little video basically of it working. I don't know if you guys can see it.
So I see questions in the chat. So like the people who ask the questions, you can obviously unmute yourself, because one of the things that we want to do here, I think we're all sick, a little bit tired of Zoom calls and all that stuff. We don't want this to be like something you can just watch on YouTube. You're here now. Like, we should act like we're in person, actually ask your question.
Hey, yeah. I do have a question. Just sorry, it's a stupid definition question, but like binaural audio, like what exactly is that? Is that just like headphones, basically?
Yeah, let me find. So okay, so if you listen, okay, backtrack. So binaural it's like, if you look at the definition, is related to both ears, right? Like by oral, 2 ears, too. But in terms of audio, it's basically audio that was recorded a very specific way. There's a specific recording technique. So if you listen to the barbershop, that is an example of binaural audio recording. And let me try to find the little microphone. Oh, you guys are gonna miss the rant. Oh well. Next time. Let's see. Sorry. Yeah, okay, there it is. Ah, scary. So if you look at the picture on the left, that's that's like a average sized human head, and it has like pretty like molded, the realistic like molded ears, and inside the ears there are microphones. So Barbershop was recorded, I believe, with this exact like model. So what it does, it's actually like records the sound exactly as it would, you know, when it would arrive at your eardrums. You know, of course, it's not like one size fits all. Everybody has unique ear shape and unique physicality, but it's pretty like good for like you know, majority of people with like average shaped and sized ears. And the thing on the right is called omnibinaural. So that's basically like, you know, basically doing I think 4 of these kind of pairs, like at different rotations, and it's like interpolates between them. Does that answer it?
Yeah, definitely. I didn't realize that's pretty cool. I had no idea.
And
it's not very useful for like any interactive, any head tracked media. It's just more of a kind of trivia thing, like, oh, binaural audio, it sounds great, it's cool, but like because like it's recorded at this very like specific fixed positions, you know, once you add head track into it, like it breaks apart, right? Because you cannot like, you don't have any other recordings within the full like 360, you know, field that you can actually move your head, right? So it's good for like static listening, like, hey, listen to this recording, like you're walking through downtown San Francisco, whatever. But if it's interactive and you can actually move your head around, binaural is not applicable.
Okay.
Well, and Justin and Sadiq both had questions. You guys want to ask them?
I mean, I think she answered about the transfer function, but the ambisonic was still a mystery to me.
Yes. Okay. So ambisonic. Let me find the slide. I wish I could see all my slides. Hold on. Ambisonic. Let's go back a little bit. Yes. Okay. Actually, maybe we skip the importance. Just it's important. Just trust me. Okay, techniques. So basically, there are kind of like two.
We can go back to your presentation. That's fine. You know, I don't want to.
No, it's all right. I mean, I think I can skip around and answer questions as I go. So once you start working, you know, and you're like, oh, I need spatial audio, I'm working in XR, you know, then yes, you do need spatial audio. It's important. But you know, because of like the you know, hardware and software that we have now, you'll be choosing between 2 modes, right? You'll either be working in like 3 degrees of freedom content, or you're going to be making 6 degrees of freedom content, right? So 360 video is 3 DOF. Like you cannot move through the video to different points in space. You can just turn your head. You know, any kind of like Magic Leap experience is 6 DOF because you can walk around and get close and far away from things. So basically, like how you're going to use spatial audio is going to be defined by the format that you're working with or how many DOFs you're working with. Sorry. So right, so if you're in 3 DOF, ambisonic is sort of the way to go here. So ambisonic format, also sometimes confusingly called sound field, you know, like start getting into murky terminology, but ambisonic is like universally understood. So it is a channel agnostic audio format, right? It's not 1 channel or 2 channels or of 6 channels, right? It basically represents like an entire sphere of sound that was captured from a specific point in space. So it's in that way, it's very similar to like 360 video cameras. So just like 360 video camera like captures, you know, video from like this point in the middle. It's the same, pretty much the same for ambisonic microphones and ambisonic format. So yeah, but the key to remember with ambisonic is there's no translation, right? There's no, you cannot move in space through it. You can just turn your head. Another thing to know about ambisonics is it is used often as kind of like a backing, like supporting format in 3D audio algorithms. So it could be more like efficient, for example, to convert object-based information, sound, into ambisonic format and then render it, right? So that can cause confusion sometimes too, is like because people hear ambisonic, but it can be used like as a format of its own, and you have ambisonic recording and you just reproducing it, or it can just be used as like a transition sort of format between your object-based and mono sounds into the final binauralized output. And then if you're working in 6DoF, that's when you would be typically working with object-based sound, and then, you know, all of your game developers, like, or if you are a game developer, that's like what you're really familiar with, is you know, you have your game objects or your actors and you're adding a sound to it. So each sound kind of has a assigned position in space. So what happens then, well, we can capture it because ambisonic microphones, blah, blah, talk about that, not interesting. 0DoF, yes, that's 0DoF, no DoFs for this one. Authoring. Let's see. So yeah, so basically like authoring reproduction. So for 3DoF, it's fairly easy, straightforward, relatively speaking, right? So so if you're working with like, if you're coming from a film background and your sound designer is coming from like linear film background, the tools for authoring ambisonics are very, very similar to the tools for authoring just audio for kind of like more traditional media for a movie, for example. So there's a number of examples. There's like Facebook 360 Spatial Workstation, ambisonic toolkit, D-Reality, etc. So these tools integrate with like industry standard audio applications. If you're working with 6DoF, that's kind of like becomes a lot harder for like film background people, becomes a lot easier for game background people, because you would actually just use like a Unity engine, Unreal Engine, or whatever 3D engine. You might optionally use audio middleware. So if you're working with like on a large project, you know, audio designers who are familiar with working on big games, like they'll be familiar with something like this. And then they would ask you, can we use Wise or Fmod? And it's really expensive, but they force you into it. No, I mean, they're great. The thing is, they're not required for spatial audio, but they're a big help just in general to develop audio. And then once you have all that, right, say you have either your ambisonic recordings or sounds or whatever, and then, or you have your object-based like 6DoF, you know, how do you still get it to the two ears, right? That's the question. Well, you can play it over a giant speaker array if you're doing like a Burning Man, you know, actual, not virtual, but like actual, like, you know, half dome thing with like spatial, you know, immersive audio, and you have like 20 speakers or however many speakers positioned everywhere. So you can actually take this like object-based audio format or ambisonic format and like then reproduce it over the speaker array. That's a little hard to come by usually. So typically you want to, you know, play it over whatever the available like device that your user is using. So, you know, if your game is a mobile game or a Magic Leap game or whatever it is, like probably want to play it through that somehow. So how do we get to the ear holes? So that's when HRTF comes in. So basically, like you use spatial audio plugin, that's what it does. It takes the thing on the left, all of that sound, applies HRTFs to it, and then it plays it back over, you know, headphones or two speakers that are really close to your ears. Like in case of Magic Leap, they're not headphones, but they're two speakers that are close to your ears. And examples of spatial audio plugins are, you know, Google Resonance, Steam Audio, Magic Leap, Soundfield. There are more. I don't even know how many right now. Mac One, Blue Ripple Sound. I don't know. I'm not like keeping tabs on all of them. But that's kind of generally, you know, how you do it. And I was gonna try to show you in Unity, but turns out that the Google Resonance hasn't been updated in a while, so I need to see how to get it to work with the latest version of Unity.
That's fine. I think that would warrant like a whole separate, like our end of month type meetups. You know, we have so many speakers and stuff. Like, we can do another meetup in the middle of the month where we can just be just you speaking, basically. I think that's the format. I think it'd be better when you have a more deep topic. But my question is, you talked about like, you know, a lot of like one of the slides you had was with Imagine Dragons for the audio. So I know one of the things early in VR was VR concerts, right? And I know like Joe, your friend Joe Devon, was involved in a VR concert back in the day at one of these co-working spaces in LA. And yeah, it was pretty amazing, but it was, you know, it was 360 video basically. But like, why don't people do things like using a Magic Leap headset so you can experience the actual sound as well, or spatial sound, as if you're in a concert? Or is that just too hard to record from a live concert?
I mean, no. Like, I mean, yes and no. Like, I don't know why they don't do it. They could, certainly. Well, and I guess, no, I guess you're right. I guess it is hard. Because, never mind, you're right, it's hard. Because the way you record is, of course, you know, the ambisonic microphones, which do not have translation. So you could not walk around. If you were just like sitting in one spot, in the same spot where like the microphone is, you know, you could experience that. So capturing,
It's kind of a leading question because we're going to show a video later on tonight with James Powderly, one of your ex-colleagues, works at Snap now. But he was a speaker for us at the Miami Sci-Fi Film Festival 2019. So if you want to come back for 2021 and talk about how to do that, and we have still filmmakers from around the world who join. So I put the link in for last year's thing here. But so this year we're going to have AR VR course with Magic Leap people. Then we're adding AI this year, and a few other unique topics. So AI is like, we have a screenplay contest. You use an AI to generate your screenplay contest, and then so we have some new things. It's going to be pretty cool. So yeah, that'd be great if you could come up with a little workshop. Then you can teach the audio spatial to all the sci-fi filmmakers. And then the other thing that we're talking about later tonight with Anthony is we're doing for first time game engine created content for sci-fi. So we'll have the global Unity and global Unreal community and all the user groups around the world promote that. So start now, guys, or girls, if you have an idea for a short film, or for everyone here who has a game, and you create a cutscene or create a cutscene from your game and add some sci-fi elements to it, you can possibly actually win a semi-prestigious award from a film festival. It's semi-prestigious by default because there's only 3 sci-fi film festivals in the United States. So by default, you're going to have people from ILM, Star Wars, you know, people you would have a hard time meeting in person. They'll see you got an award, and you saw with Anastasia, you know, getting press and getting awards and being an influencer is also a good way to break into anything you want to break into as well. So anyways, yeah, I wanted to segue into some of the other things we're going to be doing tonight as well. But yeah, so that's great. So one of the things we actually are game developers, so we're trying not to measure our success by having people show up in a meetup or anything like that. We want to get people to actually make games. So that's why we're interested actually in your new open source tool, the new plugin you just released. So I was wondering if you could go into that and how we could actually use that in our own games. So that's kind of the focus of our user group.
Yes, 1 second. Can you guys see this?
We see HRTF still.
Oh, that's weird. What about now?
Yeah, now we see your GitHub. Cool.
I'll just post a link in the thingy too. So I mean, this is the Unity plugin. It's honestly like very straightforward. So what it does is, you know, gets the head motion API from Airports Pro and just exposes it in Unity. Like that's, you know, the usage is a couple lines, you know, that's kind of like the bare minimum stuff that you would need to do. But what you could use it for, it's not just spatial audio. That's like one use case, but it basically is like it's just a general head tracker, motion tracker. You could try to like detect gestures, like yes or no. Maybe like work with like selection, gaze kind of selection, stuff like that. So I don't know. I think it's a cool new like input to play around with and see what you can come up with. Free, open source, use it, have fun.
Yeah, and you guys are a developer, so usually that doesn't happen on GitHub or open source community.
What's that? Sorry.
And plus, you guys got to meet the developer in person, so usually that doesn't happen on stuff you randomly find on GitHub. So.
Rod,
yeah,
I see your question.
We try to support.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. So if you can, try to test it out for her and give some feedback as well. And,
yeah, if somebody knows Objective-C and wants to tell me what I did wrong, that would be really helpful. Or submit a pull request or something.
Is it Objective-C or Swift?
Objective-C, because I looked into exposing like Swift plugin for Unity, and that seemed like a huge pain in the butt. So I decided to do it the other way. I see a question from Rod about if it's AirPod Pro, and yes, it is AirPods Pro. Those are the ones that have the head tracker. There's also like rumored new headphones. I have no idea when they're going to come out, but Apple is going to release, like, I think they call like AirPod Studio or something like that, kind of like over the ear, and they're going to have the head tracker, and also again, allegedly they're going to have the ultra wideband UWB chip. So the limitation right now with this version is that it's only 3 DOF, so you actually don't know like the position, and you don't know the position relative to your phone, right? That's kind of like the next thing I'm going to try to figure out and play around with to see if there's any tricks that I can do to like figure out how far away like the head is from the phone. Because like even if you have those and you tried Apple's own like version of spatial audio, and they're saying like, oh yeah, we know where your head is relative to the phone. So basically, if you play like any kind of like surround sound on your phone, like a Apple TV or Disney Plus, anything that has like any new kind of media that have surround sound, and you turn your head, then it's like, okay, cool, yeah, I can hear it, the sound stays here. But then if you move the actual phone, it doesn't know it, so it gets really weird. So I'm gonna try to figure out if that can be solved somehow. But with the UWB chip, then you might get like a pretty precise location relative to the phone. So then you get like a 6 DOF tracking.
It's great, guys. So anyone that is able to use her plugin and integrate it into your game, I guess we'll plan out a follow-up meetup with her. We actually have our partner user group in Orlando, and we have members who work at Apple. Apple, most of you probably don't know, actually has a location in Orlando, and some of our friends are GPU engineers there. So they might not be able to speak, but it's just like with Magically, when there's probably some ex-Apple people who still live in Orlando, you probably get to be on the meetup with us as well. So yeah, if you make anything with her plugin, we'll make sure you get to present your work at the meetup with the engineers from Apple or ex-Apple. So, incentive, you get to show your game to some Apple engineers, and they'll show it to their friends, I'm sure. We'll ask them to. That's great. So any more questions and last thoughts? I know the keynote presenters, we don't want to keep them all night. This is their first time as well. I know they're being very polite to us right now.
No, I mean, I know you guys have like more on the agenda too, but yeah, like please let me know if there's other questions right now.
Sure.
I have just one more question.
Your LinkedIn or your contact info too. So in your chat.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah.
I have one more question actually, just sort of a general top level question. If I'm, sound design has not really been on my radar at all for game design yet. If I'm just starting out, like, blank slate, where should I start? Like, what should I think about in terms of if I'm doing sound design for a game?
So you've never done sound design?
No,
That's what you're
not
saying.
really. Not really.
I mean, I would honestly recommend like teaming up with a sound designer. Because like there's so many people who are, who are like trying to like, get more practice doing sound design for games, and they already know the sound design part. So you might get like a good collaboration there, and find something good. If you were doing it yourself, I don't know. I'm actually honestly like not a great sound designer, because like I've done like music composition and I've done the tech stuff. Like I've never actually like done like sound design full time. And whenever I do it like quickly, just to put something in there, there are like sound libraries you can buy. There's like freesound.org. You can find stuff there that's like Creative Commons that can be used commercially. Once you start getting into like, applications for sound designers, it gets like the overhead like gets really crazy really fast. It's like it's like trying to learn Maya or something like that.
Sure.
Like maybe not that hard, but like it's like they're so specific. Like I can be like, okay, get like Logic Pro or get Reaper, and you're gonna like get it and you're gonna look at it and you're like, I have no idea what's going on here, because like it's just so like it's such a different world. So like if you really want to just like go into sound design, that's a whole thing. Like that would take you like some time to like ramp up and figure out all that stuff.
Yeah, I've been just trying to figure out as a generalist, like what the right level of depth to get into each piece of the whole puzzle is.
Yeah, no, I hear you. Like I've, like Sarah, I've been taking some classes. I'm like, oh, I want to learn Blender and I want to learn this and that.
Yeah.
And it's just like, there's a lot.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Hey,
Well,
I just want to say hi real quick. And I also wanted to say I've learned a lot from you, Anastasia. One thing I learned from you, this is Jörg, by the way.
Hi, Jörg.
Also ex-Leaper. So one thing I learned from you is a Unity game object is not complete until you think about what it actually sounds like.
That's right.
Because most people stop with the visual part. But I always made it a point now to add a sound to an object, and usually not just one sound. That is another thing I learned. So when people model a dinosaur, it's not just one sound in the center. If you put one sound source in every foot of the dinosaur, so you can actually hear the stumping from the location of where that foot hits the ground, that adds a lot of realism to the scene. But to the previous point, at what level should you start? I'm also a generalist, and I started doing sound designs where I got recommendations from all of my coworkers to really go overboard with sounds and to make it really theatrical and do laser sounds and whatnot. Usually the more subtle sounds seem to work best. That's
let's do something that might be helpful for everyone then. Let's do Angelo as our next talk, and we'll get to the awards ceremony after that, because Angelo actually has a sound game. So maybe Anastasia, if you stay a couple of minutes and give feedback on Angelo's game that he just released on Itch. And then it'll be
awesome.
Because we want to keep everything practical, hands-on, so you actually can use this in your own games. And then we'll go into the introductions. I know we normally do that at the very beginning, so sorry, we're a little bit off today. But yeah, you all be able to introduce yourselves and your games, and we'll go into the community updates as well throughout the evening. But Angelo, the floor is yours.
Oh, okay. Sooner than I was expecting. So I'm not sure. Let's see if I can.
You can share a screen and share sound.
Yeah. So can you guys see that?
Yeah. Downbeat Dungeon.
Downbeat Dungeon is the name of the game. So this was developed for a game jam on itch.io, done in just by me in 3 weekends. So the concept of the game is that your attacks in the game, and I guess I'll play it and let me know if you guys can hear this. Can you guys hear that?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So the concept of the game is that your attacks are the music for the game. So every time you press one of the arrow keys, you hear a note in the melody. So if you listen, anytime there's a note, it's an arrow key being pressed. So, and if you look on the edges here, these are the combos necessary in order to do an attack in a certain direction. So basically the premise of the game is that, or the way to control the game is that yeah, sorry, I was loud enough in my ears anyway to be distracting. But the premise of the game is that you're doing these combos to perform an attack, and each key you press produces a musical note, and the music is just original music, and I put together the scale you're playing is a pentatonic minor scale, and it the left and right keys go one note up and down, and the up and down keys go essentially two notes up or down. So it creates some kind of varied melodic structure based on how the attacks you're doing. It's basically a pretty simple 2D dungeon crawler that I put together in a pretty short amount of time. It's a procedural dungeon, so all these levels are procedural, and let's see. I think one of the cool things that I learned how to do for this particular project was something called tile bit masking, and that is, I mean, you can see how the different edges of the dungeon are varied based on if there's something behind around them. So basically, if you're procedurally generating a dungeon, what tiles are in the dungeon and what tiles aren't in the dungeon, and how do you determine there's 15 different tiles? How do you determine which tile goes where based on what squares are in the dungeon and what squares aren't in the dungeon? So it's a technique called tile bit masking, where essentially you each square around a certain square is assigned a value between 0 and 15, and essentially based on which tiles are surrounding it, you add up the value of the, well, I guess it's a little bit hard to explain. Let me show you something that, see if I can share a different screen. So this is a quick visual on it. This is how I learned how to do it from this website. Basically, for simple bit masking, you've got the square above it, the square to the right, the square below it, and the square to the left of it. So basically, by summing these values, you get a unique number based on which squares are around the square of interest. And so you've got, essentially 15 for this particular dungeon, 15 different combinations that it could be. That was just a technique I learned for that I thought was pretty cool. I wanted to share with you guys. You definitely can look it up if it's called tile bit masking. And
it looks like the vortex math. It's like a little common underground topic right now amongst the Tesla community and stuff. But
yeah, I don't know. I definitely not in the Tesla community, but
not Tesla the car, Nikolai Tesla.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, it's bit masking is a fairly common thing that is done in coding. this particular thing is cool because of the application to a procedural dungeon and just basically how you know, I didn't do a lot of research on typical procedural algorithms or whatever. I just did and I've used this on other games, basically the step method of procedural dungeon generation. I have a starting point and I randomly take a step in one direction and then take another random step and then take another random step and, you know, modifying the chances of each direction and how many steps you take and various other parameters to generate kind of an interesting dungeon. But that is the only way that I could figure out to easily procedurally generate a dungeon that you can always get to the end of. So basically between the beginning and the end, there's always going to be a continuous path because the dungeon was created just by taking steps in a random direction or, you know, not completely random, but.
So let's bring on Anastasia. Yeah. I guess this is like literally spatial audio, moving around based on sound.
Yeah, I mean, it's I guess in the world of spatial audio, it's barely even stereo. So it just, you know, that was the premise of the game, was that your attacks are kind of the music for the dungeon. So, and, you know, like I said, done in 3 weekends, all art, all music, all code by me. So anybody got any questions? Got a lot of decent feedback on itch, but yeah, like let me get
Yeah, so it's available to play?
Yeah, you can download it on itch.io. I guess I can post the link. And just so you know, the dungeon is procedural and infinite, so don't try to find the end of it. You will never succeed. It just keeps getting bigger and harder. But the you know, there's a bunch of quirks about it. So just you know, it's a rough proto build of a game.
So Mary had a question in the chat.
Oh, should I?
She had a few. Her it's Mary. MDO starts Mary.
Oh, why is it never ending? Well, that's a funny question. It's never ending because I did not, because of the way the game is set up, it was easier. It wasn't an intentional design decision necessarily. It was just that I set it up so that the next level would be larger and more enemies. And I just never created an end condition. So there's always the next level that's larger and has more enemies, but there just is no end condition because I basically ran out of time. I wanted to make a boss battle. I wanted to make the dungeon have some kind of you know, thing that you could succeed at, but I ran out of time. And the you know, the last weekend was devoted to like making menus and trying to make it so that it was a playable thing. So wasn't really a design decision, more of a yeah. Anybody else got any questions? Yeah, well, thanks guys for listening to me. If you want, I'll post a link in the chat if anyone wants to download it.
Cool, man. Yeah, great job. I mean, pretty, you know, 3 weekends, not even 3 weeks. So, you know, very, very productive. I guess that's the value of having a game jam as well. You have a set deadline. You know, I think some people could work for years on a game and never finish it. At least you know it's done. You know, you can move on to your next project.
Yeah, it's definitely pluses and minuses, I think, to the game jam thing. I think, you know, one of the things I'm doing right now is I want to get reps. So just trying to get as many get games under my belt more than I've, you know, I think quantity over quality right now, just to get more experience with design elements, really, you know.
Right. And then I guess since a lot of us are still here, we'll do the award ceremony real quick. and then I'll let everyone else log off who has something, who's busy, and then we'll continue the meetup after that. But so this, you guys know this is we have a lot of traditions here at the Florida Game Developer Association. They'll turn off in a second. So this is going to be our. It's going to be our third knighting ceremony to make new game developer Jedi Knights, so to speak. And today our two inductees are Rod Ellison and Anthony Emanate, for winning the Star Wars May the 4th Be With You Game Jam we did in conjunction with the Miami Sci-Fi Film Festival. Let me play the two previous knighting ceremonies so you guys have an idea. Angelo was at one of them, and let me bring that up here.
While Prop is bringing that up, I just wanted to bring up, I am working on another game jam. If anybody's interested, it's a pretty interesting game jam topic. It's a one button game jam. So you've got to make a game that you're only using a single button. And the interesting thing about this jam is that it's not a design exercise. It's really specifically for people that have ALS or can only really press a single button as an interface to a game. So it's a pretty cool game jam. Check out on itch.io if anybody's interested in doing something like that. It's a pretty intense design constraint that I'm working on some ideas on right now.
Awesome. So do you guys see the screen? Can you guys see the screen? My screen?
Yes.
All right, great. Yeah, I can't see it on mine. Okay. So this was at University of Miami on stage, and on the left is Maria, the former COO of the Miami Blockchain Center, another one of our partners. And on the right is all your Magic Leap friends, buddies, James Potterly. So this is our first knighting ceremony. And the reason why we knighted James, Tim knows this, right? We used to give everyone nicknames who spoke to our user group or were kind of cool with our user group. So Tim, he hasn't been knighted because he hasn't spoken officially for us, but he has a nickname of Lord X. And if Tim's here, he can explain what Lord X means. James Powderly is talcum powder, right? So it's gonna be fun, a little bit like, just like a good first sorority or fraternity nickname. So James was one of our speakers, presenters at the Miami Sci-Fi Film Festival in 2019. And he really was very hands-on, where we basically used the Magic Leap headset, the front-facing cameras, to actually be filmmakers, actually use that extra camera on set at a short film type thing. So it was definitely way above and beyond. So, but then, when we told him we were gonna give him an award and stuff at the award ceremony, he skipped out. Other days he was there with his family, his kids, right? But then as soon as he found out he was getting an award, right, he didn't show up, right? So a couple weeks later, we ambushed him on stage in University of Miami at a big conference, and we're friends with all the professors. They snuck us on stage. So this is him. He really doesn't know we're about to do this. So it's just him being surprised.
So remember Captain Picard? He's often caught in these like time Mobiuses, right? Yeah, States person. That's true. He's but Captain Picard's always involved in time loops, right? You wonder why doesn't he just not go left instead of right? And the question is, can you avoid your fate? And I think James just answered that. You can't avoid your fate. You try to skip out in the award ceremony. So the award ceremony says we have something called Leap Nation. It's a global community of Magic Leap fans and developers. And we took a global vote to give James his official Leap Nation call sign. So he's only the third person to get this. In fact, his other two people, Tim Stutz and Stefan Niles, both work for him. So he's doing a good job. So basically, it's only the fan favorites, the global non-employee Magic Leap people we voted. So we hereby designate Mr. James Powderly on the power invested in us by Leap Nation and NOAA. James Powderly now is designated as talcum powder. Congratulations.
All right, so there's a longer version of that video, but I think Tim's got the longer version.
I actually haven't seen that video before, man, except from your talk.
Oh, okay. And then, well, I mean, basically, you know, when we're out of quarantine, since you've been avoiding too, you're going to be, I think it's more priceless reaction when you don't expect it, you know. So I think like, you know, one day when you least expect it, you'll be knighted. So that was James, and then with our last two, you know, when we could still do meetups in person, we actually knighted Thompson and Taylor. Taylor for winning the one of the largest hackathons down here, the Palm Beach Tech Hackathon, and for Thompson for running the community game jam. One of the community games and just being a really cool, like generally very super motivated user group member. So let me show you that video here. Let's find it. Oops, sorry.
I'll say one more thing while Prav's looking for that. If anybody wants to join the Discord for FGDA, just I'll post the link in the chat. It's not the most active Discord right now, but you know, trying to get a little more. I mean, we have I guess 150 people or something like that, but you know, Discord is easy to ignore. So if anybody wants to join, I'll pop the link in.
Yeah, it was a really good tool when Angela was doing weekly meetups there. And now that Discord has got video chat, I think it'd be even easier. So this is the first knighting ceremony of Thompson.
November 2nd, 2019, Star Wars turn. This is the 41st Star Wars Life Day. We hereby christen Thompson. Thomas the Tank. Thomas the Tank. You're our first ever inaugurate in the Florida Game Developer Association Cool Game Developer Club. Congratulations. Truly like cookie. And I win with that one. Can't do this. Well, it's stuff. Yeah.
All right. So that's Thompson. And last video, just showing the past inductees before we have the new ones today.
Turn. Down. So Taylor, aka Stitch, we hereby knight you on this 22nd day of November 2019, the 41st day of Star Wars Life Day. Taylor, you are now known as call sign Stitch. Congratulations.
Oh, I forgot the signing of the vegan cookie. Boy, we had to wear the vegan shirt too after the night ceremonies.
Yeah, it's that one syllabus and then some.
Plain cheese studies. That's right before he's fucking. Yeah. There you go.
All right, guys. So yeah, so you have you guys are the two new inductees tonight are in good company. So congratulations, and so Rod, why don't you go first? Like, why don't you present your game, and then we'll give you your award on camera, and then when we're in person again, we'll sign you your official, like, we have a thing, we do a vegan cookie, we sign with Sharpies, all the members for the meetup. So we'll get that in person at some point. So you can present your game.
Cool. So this is my name's Rod Ellison, and kind of newish into the club, but I kind of got a few meetings in before we all had to stay at home. But when Prob kind of introduced the Star Wars Game Jam, I kind of had an idea. I had just happened to fall into Sketchfab to kind of find a few models, and I happened upon this Baby Yoda model. I guess everybody's watching Baby Yoda at the time. And I'm like, well, I could do something with this. So let me share my screen. Can you guys see the screen? There we go. All right, can you see the screen?
Yep.
Okay, cool. So I mean, it's a pretty simple Unity project. Basically what happens is the ship flies in and you pilot the ship to essentially shoot things that are coming at you. So that really the game basically has these, these Kenny, maybe familiar with Kenny's assets, just very simple assets, a plane and what will be Kenny's assets that pop up, scale, and come to you. So, if I just kind of let it roll.
Let me just interrupt real quick. So one of the judges for the Game Jam was Kurt Howell from Magic Leap as well. He's still a current Magic Leap employee.
Yeah, so it's pretty simple. You can see how it's designed. The objects come at you. There's object pooling, so they basically kind of move from the back to the front and come at you. So it's just circular. And you basically just shoot, and you either win or you lose. So at the end, basically, I kind of try to give credit to where these assets come from. But yeah, I put the source out on GitHub, so if anybody wants to look at it, basically there's object pooling in it. There's a lot of scriptable object event kind of things happening with it. That's how I design most of the programs that I write. Everything's event driven, so whenever anything happens, an event is fired, something else is listening for it, and paints something on the screen, or makes like even the lasers, when they shoot out and hit something, an event gets raised, and that's an event. Everything's an event. So a lot of scriptable objects. The code intensive stuff was really just getting the things to scale up and come at you and then recycle, so the object pooling. But it was a very fun jam. This was 5 days worth of work. So again, if you have any questions, just hit me up and I'd be glad to walk through it.
Did anyone download the game ahead of time?
I played it online.
Yeah. Well, Rod, why don't you just play one level then, like full screen with the sound on, so you get an idea.
Sure. Let's see.
I think I want people to see, like, we have a live stream of Kurt playing it from Magic Leap, and the thing about it is this is like a really hard game, so it's kind of funny. We all kept crashing and not rescuing Baby Yoda, so that was entertaining. Kurt thought it was actually on purpose, where this is one of those like impossible games. On purpose, like you made a game that was impossible to win type thing, but maybe not.
Well, I mean, it's all procedurally created, right? So when the level starts, it just populates an object pool full of those Kenny assets. And then, so this is what you get. It's a WebGL game. You can play it in your browser. I'll try to scale it up. So there's a little cutscene. This is the cutscene in the front. So it uses Cinemachine to change the camera, put the camera behind the X-Wing. Little animation to swing Baby Yoda up. And this is the part, again, where you want a sound designer, which I'm not. I guess it's the fate of all of us kind of newer, Unity designers.
The sound wasn't, we couldn't hear the sound. It was.
Let me. Yeah,
there it is. Yeah.
so my pea shooter of a laser, you know, this is where you can really use the sound engineer or somebody that. It may take a while, Praveen, to get through this.
No, I mean, no. That's exactly what I was expecting because that's all we got to as well. We tried a bunch of times.
I mean, in 5 days, it's kind of hard to build in a lot of play testing. So, especially with a procedurally driven game, you know, it's.
So Josh has a question. Josh, you can unmute yourself and just ask.
Okay, yeah, I was gonna ask. Are there colliders on all of those obstacles? Because it's procedurally generated obstacles, and it'd be quite a ton of obstacles. But I imagine there must be colliders on every single surface to make sure if the ship crashes.
Yeah. So basically, yeah, in all of these things, the prefabs. I'm trying to think where I put my prefabs. You're right. There's a convex collider, right? So it's not a detailed mesh collider. Because there's a lot of ridges. It's basically kind of, it would be like a triangular or a rectangular kind of thing as opposed to a mesh collider. But you're right, all the prefabs have their colliders already on them, and then you just populate the prefab. You just bring it up, scale it up, and then basically when the X-wing hits it, you crash. Or if a laser hits it, right, the code on the object says who hit me. If it's a laser, you destroy, right, the thing. And if it's the ship, you basically destroy the ship.
That's cool. Thank you.
It's awesome. So I think I see people, we started out with like 30 plus people. Now we're down to 14. So maybe we should start doing the introductions in the roundtable now, give people a chance. So let's do that. We'll take an interruption and do the introductions now. So if you haven't introduced yourself already, like please unmute yourself. And so Josh, why don't you start since you're already on screen?
Okay, yes. My name is Josh, Joshua Bristol. I'm working on an RPG game in Unity. It's a two-dimensional overhead game. It's kind of like a Pokemon-like, but it's in the very early stages right now. But yeah, I've a little bit of studying in C#, and I also know a little bit of web development.
Yeah, so Josh is Mary's brother, and he's also my my writing coach instructor, so creative writing coach. So interesting, Berkeley grad. Great, and David. Oh, David, are you still there? I know he's off camera. Let me get someone who's on camera. Yeah, whoever wants to go next, just unmute yourself. Or who hasn't talked to already. All right, I guess if you don't, that's fine. You guys can, we'll do this again at the end of the meetup as well if you want to do your introductions or show your work. Yeah, Rod, great job. I mean, congratulations. I'll give him a round of applause. And yeah, so you were first place in the Unity category for Global Game Jam, and here's the here's the image. I mean, we're obviously we're going to give you an actual plaque though with what this is going to be. I mean, actually, we'll give you the images as well, so you can put it on your website and on your own poster. We have the transparent, all the different versions. So I'll send it to you. But yeah, congratulations, Rob Ellison, for Baby Yoda's Escape from the 2020 Star Wars Game Jam for the Miami Sci-Fi Film Festival. And I guess the knighting doesn't really make sense unless you really want to lower your shoulders. I'm not sure which window you're in or I'm in. And normally when you get knighted, you actually get a nickname as well. So I forgot that portion. So we have to come up with a nickname. Maybe Baby Yoda. What do you guys think? It has to be a group decision, a vote about what the his nickname should be.
Baby Yoda. That's good.
All right. Any other suggestions? All right. So Rob, we hereby designate you Rob Ellison, FGA member, Baby Yoda. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Good job. It's awesome, man. Great. So Rod, do you want to also introduce yourself as far as your actual I know you worked at American Express for 20 plus years doing AR, VR. Why don't you just introduce your actual...
I was kind of working with their, basically building their imaging system. So when you as a customer have, issues with Amex, you got a dispute, basically mail your correspondence in. And our systems used to, well, they basically scan it, image it, put it in systems, and there'd be, literally hundreds of thousands of correspondences come in. So I did work for Amex for quite a long time. Started out in Phoenix and then ended up down here. And towards the end of that, right, that's when somewhere in 2014, we had opened up an innovation lab at our facility out here in Sunrise. And I got really involved with that by basically building a history of Amex VR experience. So where you basically are sitting in an Epcot-ish kind of ride, right, where you go see the history in the Epcot ball. So it's like basically a forward-moving experience where you learn the history of Amex, and it's very well received. And that ended up turning into kind of work with our e-learning, our learning department, that kind of creating immersive 3D learning, where it basically puts somebody in a room, a comfortable setting. They're using Oculus, and they're basically able to pull up training videos. And it was actually very productive in a way. It was a new kind of thing, and we used to put the really experienced reps through it. And I learned a lot from that experience. That was just basically my introduction to Unity and Oculus in a way. So I kind of took that from there, and then basically started trying to pitch VR and AR, and and of course Magic Leap a lot. I think Amex and many companies are just getting to that point now where they finally want to invest in and commit some time and experience and innovation to those kind of technologies. We're still early days, right? It's so a lot of it is a sell when you're trying to bring that kind of technology in. But now I do a lot of AWS development, right? So I'm not with Amex anymore. So I'm kind of trying to bridge technologies like Alexa, Unity type game engine stuff with cloud APIs and using the AWS environment.
Yeah, I mean AWS has got Lumberyard and all that good stuff too. So and they have their own, I think, Unity plugins or networking engine. It's great. Yeah, I'm sure. It's been trying times for everyone. So I'm glad everything's working out for you. So, and congratulations again.
Thank you.
Cool. And so Anthony, are you ready to present your?
Yes, I am.
So everyone, let's introduce our.
Yes, I am. Sorry.
So, well, we're going to introduce the Anthony, who's the I guess a spy today from the Unreal Engine user group, which so keep your no, you're just joking. I run that group too, so never mind. So
oh, am I the only one? Nobody else here uses Unreal?
Well, if you notice when we do Unreal Engine, they don't. I mean, everyone's always welcome, but it never happens, right? No one ever shifts user groups like that. I'm not sure why, but
huh.
That's why.
Wow,
I don't.
okay,
I don't want to be ostracized by eating campus. So.
Okay. Well, darn. I was
another one, so no one recognizes me.
Okay. Well, I was hoping to connect to some other Unreal users as well. I've installed Unity and messed around with it several years ago. I do video production and I'm a photographer. I do 3D animation. So for me, Unreal for virtual production and cinematics. So some of the stuff I've been doing with it, I guess I had to show I'm going to share my screen. Let me do
Yeah, I think once you start with the your game jam, then we'll do your game jam award, and then we'll go into your presentation.
Okay. So yeah, so I think should I play it or just show the video? Because my game thing, because
just share your screen and show whatever you want.
Yeah, I'll show the video. Let's see, present now. Okay. Hold on. Here we go. Okay, can you guys? Well, I think it's starting. Here we go. Can you guys see my screen?
Yep.
Can you guys see my screen? Hello?
Yeah, we can see it.
Yeah,
but
okay, great.
it's showing like the screen that you're watching, which has me on it.
Right.
Not your actual screen.
Okay, so anyway, here's my the itch.io and some of the screenshots from this game. And for the game jam, it was obviously under a limited amount of time. What I usually concentrate on is look development and art directing and cinematics. So what I wanted to develop in this is like an MVP for a concept. Obviously, since I'm using Star Wars stuff, it can't be something that I commercialize or do too much with. So what I wanted to use this as is just a prototype for something. And here's the gameplay. So this is all. I'll just show you. Can you guys hear it too, or?
Yeah, if you can increase the volume, it'll help hear a little bit.
Okay. So basically, this is still in development. It's turning into a virtual reality game, but at first I wanted to set up a sense of scale and also some various missions. So the idea of this game is Dark Forces would be basically a Jedi contingent that's sort of dark and very powerful and is fighting against the Imperials using really, dirty tactics like sabotage. And in this scenario, the Jedi flies into a fleet of Star Destroyers and disables the lead Star Destroyer and all the others. And just by being in the right place at the right time and using their technology against them and such as that. So the whole time he's flying through here, there's this voice in the soundtrack. It's a real deep, ominous thing. And it's speaking some sort of ancient Jedi into his mind, like an ESP thing. And it's telling him to do this and to go into here and to blow this thing up. So I had a couple different ideas as to how to develop the game, whether it's goal-based or whether another variant would be that this is a racetrack and you have to circle around this Star Destroyer without hitting too much and flying through these power-ups, all the while destroying the TIE fighters or the other ships that are in here. So right now I've built like 10 different ships in here, and the current version, you can only fly one of them. But there's 10 different ships, which you'll see here. Here's an X-Wing. And there's a TIE fighter, a different, I think it's a Sith TIE fighter or some kind of variant of it. So a lot of these models were available on Sketchfab, and some of them were people I know, and I've been following their work for years. So it was nice finally collaborating with them to bring some of their models to life a little more than just in an animation or whatever. So it was using Unreal Engine. It was really quick to develop this, amazingly so. I guess we had like a week or two, and it just flew, the development. And once I was able to bring in all my models, and I made this custom sky, you can see the lightning in it and stuff, and it's all purple. And this was supposed to be similar to that last Star Wars movie where the Imperial fleet rises out of the fog. So that's sort of what I was doing, if you guys remember that. And right now I only put a certain amount of ships in there. Just this one, as you can see, is the Jedi Interceptor. So this was the original ship that I was going to use for most of the game. This is an ARC 170, which is a clone trooper thing. So I made all these ships, but because I didn't have time to figure out how to assign each of them and have different parameters for each of the ships. You know, basically they didn't all make it into the game, but they were all there. I had to, you know, I was just grouping them with the parent vehicle and changing vehicle pawn dynamics settings one by one. So anyway, that's, let me fast forward this a little bit, and it shows, you can see some of the TIE fighters. So those are supposed to be AI, and they're not set up as AI yet. So I do more animation and art direction than programming. I can program about anything if I have to. It's just I don't like it. I'm not great at it. So this game was supposed to have the higher level of Unreal Physics. It's a new thing called Chaos Dynamics and Chaos Destruction. And it was in beta testing, and evidently there's still some problems with it. But the goal of this game is to make, right here, to fly into the ship and shoot targets, and pieces of the ship would break away and shatter as Niagara particles shoot and impact the surface. So now with Unreal Engine, there's a way of using Niagara particles, which are a new, very powerful way of doing particles, and with interactive and scriptable features with chaos physics, a new destruction module that, you know, Unreal's developing. So all that stuff didn't make it into the game, but here's my dev list, and we're still working on it right now. And so, you know, like I said, this first one was just to do an MVP with, and I was trying to put in the Niagara particles and all that, but with the short amount of time, it wasn't possible. So the things still left in the game are to integrate that, which is like a huge technical challenge right now. And I'll probably have to get some like high level help to figure that out if it's even possible, to turn it into a VR thing, which right now it works in VR, but you can't really, you can't control the ship or anything. You just look around. So then make blueprints for the different ships, and create enemy ship AI, enemy ship weapons, and damage to the player vehicle. And then having the enemy ships also have chaos destruction, and then a Niagara particle sequence based on whatever starship, whatever weapons it's using. And so each one would have a different kind of weapon, and that would impact on ships differently, and that will blow pieces of it off. So I think with that, that it would be sort of a, you know, fun or interesting thing as we continue to develop it.
It's a heart.
Whoop.
Well, I assume it's a heart.
Whoop.
Really
Sorry. Turn it down. Any questions so far, or?
What tools do you use for like things like those UI elements and the 3D modeling?
So, well, I use Cinema 4D and Substance Painter. And I don't know if you guys are familiar with Painter. It's like the coolest. Adobe bought them out. That's the most awesome way to texture stuff. It textures in PBR, and you use materials like gold and silver and real world stuff to just paint on things, and several layers deep. So I use that for textures. Mainly all of this was done in Unreal Engine due to the time. Some of the textures, you know, I refined inside Substance Painter. One of the cool things now with the technology changes this last year is that you can go to Sketchfab and download a GLTF file, which is like the new 3D format that is, it works on all the different platforms, PCs, Macs. It always looks the same. It looks the same on an iPhone, on an Android. You know, that's Sketchfab's built on that technology. So now you can import those, and Unreal Engine can actually just use a GLTF, and which I guess Unity can too now. So that's all some of the new stuff that's been going on. And, you know, Substance Painter makes use of that whole GLTF and PBR textures. Yeah, so I did that, and then all of the effects and the particles and stuff are all from Unreal. And the cool thing about Unreal is the reason why I used to use it years ago. We had a game, little game company here on the screen. You guys can still see my screen, okay? You guys still there? Yeah.
Yep, we can see it.
Yep.
All right. Hello. Let me check you guys. Hello. Okay, good. Yeah. So anyway, that's some of the tools, and you know, the main thing would be Unreal Engine, and it has so many built-in particles and so many free assets that I was able to do the smoke and you know, all the particle effects, and you can't really notice it in the QuickTime, but it, you know, it has dust that you fly through to give it a sense of depth and all that kind of thing. Any other questions about this?
Yeah, man, that was great. And I think you're gonna have another presentation tonight as well. So we'll get to that. But I think let's give you your award now as well. Let me. So Anthony, you know, we'll give you all the other files as well, as you are an artist, so I think you'll appreciate some of the other files as well. But so congratulations on winning the Best Unreal Engine game for the 2020 Miami International Sci-Fi Film Festival for Dark Forces. And since this is your first meetup, basically, I think we don't know enough about you to give you a nickname yet or to knight you. But I think it's on hold until, you know, then perhaps we'll do it at the Unreal Engine meetup. So that's I guess who you want to network with at this point as well. So congratulations, Anthony, and I will
Thank you.
do this anyway. So.
Thank you.
So I think a little bit about Anthony. You know, he's a really helpful and very open to new ideas. Like he met him, I think first I saw him at a blockchain center opening, and you know, he had some common friends, and then noticed he's a yogi and a vegan, and I got my vegan shirt on. So I think there's a backstory to him that would be interesting to find out what's going on. Seems like and then I saw he's friends with Sarah as well. So yeah, a lot happening here.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, I'm working with a lot of different you know, VR and artists. You know, also through this thing that we did for Playa VR with Scarlett and Phoenix and Paul. So you know, through that I was able to bring together some of the artists that I've been friends with on the internet and colleagues. One of them was Eamon Akhtar. He's one of the Pixelogic live streamers. So I use a program called ZBrush, and one of the best guys at it is Eamon, and I've been following his work for a while, and he has an AR app, and he also just won the, you know, the Epic Fellowship. So he's one of the sponsored people doing, you know, virtual production, which is what I'm a filmmaker. So I'm also, I worked for Discovery Channel and MTV. So I'm trying to also bring Unreal into, you know, my television and film work. So anyway, I was able to pull him in on this last thing. And so we got 3 of these characters that he makes in my last game as AI. And they react to the player, and it works in VR, and they walk up to you and blink, and then we also made things like fire poi. So those things that people spin around that you light on fire, and when you poke the dinosaurs with them, you know, they jump in the air and react. And although we, you know, originally didn't intend to have fire sticks to poke these guys with, but anyway, so
yeah, I think with the 3 categories we have for the Miami Sci-Fi Film Festival, I think you would enter and even speak at all 3 or do workshops if you want. The AI, AR, VR, and also game engine created content.
Yeah, that would be great. And I'm glad to finally connect. I know you've been inviting me for a while since we've met. I've just been focused on my animation and working on, you know, upgrading my animation and visual effects. You know,
no, that's actually perfect. You know, we always say, you know, user group is not a place to hang out; it's a place to actually learn to make something. So if you're making something, it's a good reason to miss a meeting. That's a lot of it's about being productive, not.
Yeah, and that's what it was. Yeah, even with the Burning Man that was just up, we were creating, and I didn't have a chance to really get super involved with everybody else's thing, just because being on a super tight technical deadline. And you know, and my thing, I put, you know, it has AI and VR fire poi and like flying whales and all this stuff. So the whole time I had to just withdraw to get it done.
I'm sure we'll get into this too, but like one of the categories for the AR VR is also virtual world. So you can enter your virtual world you created into that. You might be like one of these award ceremonies. We're going to give you all the awards next year.
No, I'd like to be part of it and find somebody to collaborate with, because you can't do everything yourself. And
it's a good place. We have people from all over the world. We just did the biggest Indian sci-fi movie in history too. We just had their event 2.5 weeks ago, our second time.
Yeah. I'd like to show you guys this little VFX shot. So I'm not supposed to show this yet, but I can show it to you guys, and as long as this doesn't.
It's recording, but I'll edit the video to take this portion.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So I'm working on as we talked about, the Unreal is being used now for virtual production. ILM and Mandalorian's all filmed using virtual production, which you use Unreal Engine on like LED screens or as a backdrop. So this is for a green screen set, and this is in a window, and this plays, and this is something I made in Unreal in just the shortest amount of time that would have taken me so much time in Cinema 4D or even After Effects or anything else, really. So here, I'll let you guys just watch what's going on.
Is there sound to this?
No sound yet. So, this is being put into a film, a short film, just an animated character. So I did him in ZBrush, and then used Cinema 4D and Mixamo to rig him, and then brought him onto Unreal to do build this city and all the fire and all the smoke and the particles. So I was able to build all the smoke and particles actually in just like 4 hours or something, or 6 or 8 hours. Whereas in Cinema 4D, the way I used to do it last year, or the year before, or the last 20 years, it would have taken just a couple days to make all this look good. So Unreal, and they give all this stuff is free. All these fires, all this smoke, the buildings we own, it's like a kit bash thing. This guy I made, but I've been able to make things in such a short amount of time with Unreal Engine. Here's some of the stuff that this is you guys probably know the Ghost in the Shell stuff, but again was able to render this out in 4K and add characters and dynamic effects and post-processing volumes and everything, and then it rendered out in 3 minutes or 2 minutes in 4K. So I'm never going back to Cinema 4D and just using that for my broadcast work. I'm trying to bring all my 3D animation and visual effects faster. And then we have all this, all the particles and everything, the smoke, and they have so much for free. And every month they give out just thousands of dollars of free content. So anyway, just wanted to say that I'm a huge fan of all the stuff, and I don't know if Unreal or Unity gives away as much free materials, but even all this background stuff, these are all basically Unreal Engine assets that are free. They're sort of buried, and I put them all together to create cinematics with it. But this is one of their characters, and all these animations, and everything was separate, and I just put it all together in Unreal Engine. But it just took only a couple hours, and I've never worked like that before.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, you'll have to tell me later which sections of that video to cut out for the YouTube too. So
yeah, just the monster thing. That's all.
Oh, the first video you showed.
Yeah, just the monster thing. Yeah, and just because it's getting announced in November, and it has all this green screen effect. But again, these are all free assets that I use to. So my thing is creating cinematics, directing shots, making things that you can feel and have some kind of story and movement. You know, I worked for MTV doing commercials, and here in Miami I worked for Discovery Channel as motion graphics artist. So I do commercials for, like, you know, a lot of different Discovery TV shows like Gold Rush and, you know, things like that. So I'm big into cinematics and just trying to make things look like visually powerful, you know. So here's my art station.
Sure. Yeah, we do have members who are like working at Channel 7 as editors and other places too. So just for people who use Game Engine for filming or TV.
I wanted to point out though the funny thing with the Star Wars thing, that actually that's why I do what I do, is because of Star Wars. And when I saw it as a boy, you know, I knew it was a movie, and I knew then that I would be able to make things, that I would be able to make that one day. And so, you know, now, you know, I made this stuff all myself and at home on my computer. And, you know, as a boy, that would have been impossible. And now it's in VR as well. So you're going to be, when you fly under the Star Destroyer, it's massive. And all the sounds that I put with it and the lightning in the sky, you can just feel it. It's not like playing it just on a screen, but in VR, like, this stuff is just phenomenal. You know, so the Star Wars connection, you can see that was one thing just recently. And then here's Boba Fett, as a converted samurai, you know, with a Google HoloLens and a samurai helmet and Boba Fett armor. And so I use ZBrush to get these custom looks using a non-photo realistic renderer. It's this real cool way of rendering 3D to make it look like brush strokes or real art, you know. So I don't know if you can see that, how I don't know if you can see the depth, how it looks like it's pencil sketched, you know. Yeah, so the Star Wars theme, here's another Star Wars thing, there's another Star Wars thing, there's another Star Wars, here's another. So you know,
You're kind of cutting out there, Anthony.
Doing this kind of stuff, like you know, years ago, and CinemaCon, StarWars.com, their main website for the Empire Strikes Back Uncut. So this is my scene in that movie. There were 440 different producers over a 3-year period that made it into this film that was sponsored by ILM and George Lucas, and they had at the beginning of the film, they have a little intro from Lucasfilm, and then it has the Lucasfilm logo animation. So that's one of the things I'm really proud about, but like none of my friends or no one else really acknowledged, you know. So when I got these clips online, I published them on Facebook, and I got 3 likes, and then every other year I share it, and I was like, somebody's like, gives 1 more like, and I actually got like 2 clips in there. So
no,
it's like funny.
It's a good point. You know, I think we should do more of that through Miami Sci-Fi Film Festival. We do get people from ILM speak, but you know, it's more of a speaking thing, and they haven't really like collaborated after their talk. They're nice people, but I think creating that lasting connection, people actually work on projects together because even these people at ILM do their own thing on the side as well. So I think there's opportunities. Yeah. So let's I think Scarlett's been waiting patiently as well. We'll give her the floor, and then and David, you want to introduce yourself? We were waiting for you earlier. David, you can unmute yourself.
You talking to me?
Yeah. I want you to do your introduction. Yeah.
I don't know. There's I'm part of the leadership of Cap City BTC, which is a crypto meetup group over in Sacramento. My involvement in gaming is not a whole lot right now, even though I would like to get more involved in the gaming aspect because it's at least in the crypto scene. I participated in a whole bunch of the different things for example, Decentraland. I've bought property in there, and I put a house in Decentraland, a 3D model house in Decentraland. done some, bought some stuff in, was it Somnium Space? Bought a property in there and put up a building and put some billboards and stuff like that for our group up there. And then also I've bought in some land in Sandbox, the sandbox.game recently. So I'm going to play a little bit with that. My background gaming, I actually did work for a game company for 2 years when I was at a long time ago out of high school. We did, I was the IT guy at the time, system admin, and basically we did Bruce Lee for the original Xbox. I think got voted worst game of the year, but it was at least a fun experience nonetheless. Worked with some really cool people. Some of the people that actually worked in the company were actually from the original, I think, X-Wing. A lot of from LucasArts at the time and stuff like that. So it was really cool crowd to be part of, and good experience nonetheless. So.
That's awesome. I think that's a good segue into Scarlett's talk right now, because there's people here from like around the United States who are part of our various groups. We have meetups in other cities as well, but like David is a lot of the applications he talked about are actually using blockchain technologies with gaming and VR as well. So Scarlett is really into that, so I'm sure she'll go into that as well. So Scarlett, welcome David to your first meetup, official meetup. So Scarlett, the floor is yours.
Yes, hi everybody. So today I kind of wanted to talk, because this is a Unity meetup group. I'm kind of going to talk very briefly as to a big project that I was a part of. And this project, it was an event called Burning Man, which normally takes place in Black Rock in Nevada. But since it got canceled, it went virtual. And I was one of the co-producers of the multiverse for this the online platform of Burning Man, which was called the Multiverse Metaburn the Bridge Experience. And basically, what if you never heard of Burning Man, is a kind of like a social gathering that takes up on the desert. Very similar to a festival, but there's no monetary exchange, and it's very much collaborative, where people come together to create works of art and freedom of expression and so forth. It takes 7 days, and normally it's like at the end of the year. So what we did, we tried to replicate that experience on a virtual platform. And what that looks like, we wanted to be true as to what is a Burning Man experience like. So what we did is we created a WebGL platform, and on this platform, we basically did a call to action. We collected all the digital assets that the burner community, and we imported this. One of them was Anthony's, who spoke earlier, and to create this virtual experience as a collaborative community effort that went global. This virtual event lasted for 7 days, 24 hours. It was quite an experience because we basically did everything in 2 months. Not by choice, it's just that, everybody was trying to figure out, so it was very highly experimental, and in terms of what is capable in terms of pushing the boundaries. And some of our platform was on Unity, which is great. So we were able to show this. We're called the multiverse because we're basically the bridge of many type of technology, and we wanted to showcase this. Let me go ahead and share a quick presentation, what it looks like. I don't know if anybody's seen this. Okay.
No, I'm not seeing it.
No, you're not seeing it. Okay, perfect. Give me 1 second. So I must be Kinley, and then I'll show you a minute video of what all looks like, and so forth. So this is actually Burning Man's main website, and there was actually 8 virtual experiences that were all collaborative that happened. We are based here in Miami, Florida, and we wanted to represent the Loper community, and which is one of the largest regional burn that happen here. Now, what this looks like is, since we're WebGL, you could actually experience our platform both in virtual reality goggles, as well as a Chrome base on your phone, as well as a web base. So this is our platform right here. Yeah, so there was different type of a platform. Again, it was very experimental. Some were 2Ds, others were 3Ds. R was a 3D immersive experience on a WebGL platform. So I'm gonna go ahead and play just to give you an overview of what it looks like. Mind you, Burning Man is a huge event. We had over 3,500 attendees at one point, a week-long event that we did virtual. So I'm gonna go ahead and play this nice little video. Hopefully, let's see, we can share. Give me 1 second. This video, we're worth the wait. Okay.
Oh, there's no sound, Scarlett.
No sound. Let's see how we can fix that. Not sharing. Looks like it's, let me stop sharing quickly and see if we can, if not, I'll go ahead and play it. This is a very short introduction video. And I'll just go ahead, your entire screen. Is there any audio?
No audio, but I can hear.
No.
I think Google will share the audio if you put it in a tab in Chrome and then share that tab. If you can.
Yeah. So let me go ahead and share it directly from the website.
Yeah.
So that would also help, right? Let me go ahead and stop that and share from the website itself.
You got to present now and then a Chrome tab. Does that show up for you?
Correct.
Yeah. So
this is a bit longer video, but it kind of explains the gist of what we did here. Let me see if it play. There we are.
Welcome to the virtual burn. Enter now, for there's much to learn. Of your body on the ground, imply dust in your face. Your dreams are free to command, and destiny yours to chase. We'll go forth on this adventure together, like seeing songbirds wrapped in digital feathers. Calling into the morning, on the winds of the night, feeling at home, and home is nowhere in sight. Welcome to the virtual burn. I am the intergalactic empress, your guide to the multiverse. Like most events for 2020, Burning Man has transmuted to a virtual playa. You are now cordially invited to enter into these multiverses. The ethereal Ethereum experience is where patrons can leave virtual offerings that will be digitally destroyed September 6th. Ethereum represents the highest celestial point, the apex where humanity can touch the cosmic dimension. Fittingly, this sacred confluence.
Okay, so I'm going to stop right here because this is a very long video. Unfortunately, I couldn't show our video because of audio issue. But what I can do is do a little preview what it looks like, what our multiverse look like as part of the MetaBurn. So, and again, because this is Unity, this is a great platform. What's capable? Be mindful, we did this in 2 months, and it took a lot of planning, a lot of organization, and a lot of volunteers as well. And I want to give thanks to all our artists and volunteers to help put this all together. So let me see if I could share our screen one more time. Let's see if this will work. All right. Yep. Hopefully. I'm not sure. Is anybody seeing the screen itself?
No.
No.
There you go. There you go. It's working.
Okay, it is working. Great. All right. This is a little lag. So this is our platform, which is a Metaverse platform that we're able to import different digital assets. Obviously, there's demand and so forth. What's interesting about this is that we can do live streams. So basically, we're able to stream in different type of videos and programming that happen. So right now it's empty because the burn is over. However, we had DJs from across the world, all in real time. So that's what's so interesting about what happened here and what's transparent. Now, we are planning to continue to develop this platform, basically have another burn in the very near future. So if you do want to get involved in this and possibly collaborate with us, please reach out to us and see how we can co-create and so forth. But it was really exciting experience because, it really stress tests as to what we're capable with doing with a short amount of time and an amazing amount of people for these type of platforms. I'm just gonna pick a line. But it was definitely a very interesting experience because we gathered how we were able to potentially test out different type of technology and just integrate it here. And this experience actually had 14 worlds. So that's something that a lot of people don't know. Like when we didn't create one world, we end up creating 14 in total. Actually 15, including the Burn Night, which is the burning of the man, which was an animation platform. And let me see if I had a quick photo of that. So the experience actually varies dramatically. Let's see, it's a shame I can't really see entire window.
Hi, this is Paul. I work with MetaBurn as well. And anyways, this experience goes to many platforms, not only WebVR, but as you can see, Unreal. It goes to 2D over-the-head platforms, AR Snapchat filters. The whole idea was to honor the Burning Man spirit of, radical diversity. So we wanted to try out the Burning Man experience in any platform that's virtual reality or 3D or Zoom or so forth. So it's great to see that, how much fun we all had with this experience, the Metaverse experience.
So those little taste of what's capable collaboratively, and where we feel that even with Unity user groups, what's possible in doing this type of platform. So, join us next year, and hopefully we'll see you there.
That's really cool. Is there like a recording of this somewhere, like that you could re-experience somehow, or did you have to? You totally have to be there. There's no going back.
So that's the thing about being a burn. Ideally, we want to have the full experience. It only lasted that 7 days, but we remained it up. So all you have to do is go to kidney.burningman.org to be able to experience the world. Most of the worlds are down now because it does require.
I'll play some videos that I got. Paul sent me, and when we're testing it.
And actually, I want to pivot with that because Praveen was a big participant on the Metaburn, and I really have to thank him as well.
I'm trying to break it, so I have to let me show you some of the, I did a break dance with 2 genies, and anyway, so let me show you that stuff.
Yeah, we even have you know, like kind of like the famous Fortnite concerts with a giant you know, artist dancing and doing break dancing. We'll show you guys.
So this is me breakdancing as 2 separate genies.
Yeah.
So anyways, it was maybe
this
I should.
During the burn night, you know, and Prav was like standing in front of us, so I noticed he was doing the, you know, the steps, the breakdance steps. It was really fun to see. And this is actually
this one here is the Maya thing, and Vincente, a girl that lives in Miami, she made this, and she actually did a HoloLens too. She did a volumetric capture of her DJing with HoloLens. So they're playing it on the big screen, and then I'm dancing on the left, and I use James Potterley's new Snapchat snap camera filter to create a custom like hummingbird thing. So I had the elf ears on, the cape, whatever. I had to get into the burning. Josh knows. Josh has actually been to burn before. And then here's the one that Paul sent. Of I didn't even realize he was recording. So a lot of it, there's a lot of interaction. I mean, it seems like a good like networking tool in general. So this one is Paul sent this one when I was just randomly roaming around. So you guys, there's Alistair Carbrello. You guys recognize him. I think he still teaches at FIU.
I think it's like you pass by. Yeah, there you go. You can see the cool AR filter.
There's Paul on the left here, bottom left.
So one of the things that we want to try to do, because we want a more of an immersive experience, is the interaction, the ability to talk to each other and actually interact. Therefore, we make this, you have to be 18 and over to participate because of the video, but you can turn it off and turn it on, and it has spatial audio. So when you approach to somebody, you can actually hear them. And it was pretty interesting because, again, you could change your avatars and select different type of avatars. All this was very experimental. But yeah,
David, you want to unmute yourself and ask?
Yeah, I was just curious. The environment that's in there, is it built by you guys? Do you have a select team that's building the environment, or is it more of a community built? Like, are people going in there and building their own things to add to the environment, or how's that working?
So this is very much collaborative. What that means is that we basically hosted the main platform, the WebGL, and then we asked the burner community or anybody who really who had digital assets to help us import. So those digital assets, it's actually the community building. Now, there were some burners who wanted to create a building asset, so we ended up building it ourselves for them. But yes, essentially, Burning Man is all about collaborative building and unifying to do creative art and expression.
Anthony, the perfect answer, because Anthony did create.
Right, Anthony was actually one of the platform for Burning Man, the bridge experience. You know,
can you show your stuff for the stuff you made for Burning Man?
Yeah, I'd love to. Can you guys hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, let me turn my. Okay, and here we go. Go entire screen. Whoops. Can you guys see me now? Can you guys see me now?
Yes.
So this is just a video I reposted when we were sort of promoting this thing. And I'll skip forward a little bit just to show you this other. We had a lot of really special features in this. Besides the burning dance, the dancing and Burning Man, you can see the Salvador Dali elephants in the back, and we have swimming whales in the background, and a fireworks show, all on blueprint timers. But when we go past here, you're going to see I've got a bunch of AI. And so we created this all in such a short amount of time, whatever, 4 or 6 weeks. And it's fully VR compatible. You can fly. It has full VR locomotion. It has like about 60 different AI variants. Let me show you those. Well, this is you know, big pyramid. One of the cool things is these textures we were able to do in Unreal. I think I looked down at the ground. Well, you can't really see it too well right here, but let's see, let's go out here. So it's a really, my world's a really
he might have froze a bit, but just kind of to elaborate until he comes back. So this is one of the worlds from the multiverse that they was able to porter in.
Everything's like custom made and custom programmed. This is just a small part of it that one of the guys posted online, and then I have this high.
Well, it looks amazing. I love it. I would love to do that.
Yeah, well, I think since we lost his audio, but yeah, so this is an example of how, you know, through collaborative effort, building the platform during this 7-day, 24-hour event. So we're basically working around the clock on Burning Man's schedule, which is Pacific time, to be able to pull this off. So it was very much collaborative, and you know, you had able to experience all different type of platforms. Basically, it's just the community interpretation of what Burning Man is, on a virtual platform. So it was definitely interesting. Again, this is the first time ever Burning Man has ever been canceled. So and to be able to be part of this again is a very honor, and of course, and what it could have been done by the collaborative efforts by all the artists, especially Anthony.
It's awesome. So are there opportunities coming up for people to be involved in your future collaborative projects?
Yeah, absolutely. So most likely we're going to do it again next year in August, but there's another event called LeBurn. LeBurn is the largest regional burn. It takes place here in Miami, Florida, so we're going to create a digital twin of that as well. Of course, it's not going to be nearly as big as Burning Man, you know, we definitely going to have more time. It's going to be the same thing. We're host of the platform, and where you could have different interpretation of what your virtual burn may look like. As a community event, we haven't really finalized it, but it looks like we might do one last one by the end of this year. We're still working those details out, but if we do, we're definitely going to be posted. And Pareen, I'm sure, could, if you want more information, either email Pareen or myself on regards to that.
Great.
So,
Cool. Thank you. That was very cool.
And again, if you want to check out the multiverse, all you have to do is type in kindling.metaburn.org. I'll put it in the chat if you like.
That's a good idea. I'm not sure if I can spell kindling anymore.
Actually,
yeah.
I hate to say it, I'm completely lost at how it bakes together. What's the contribution? Do you just create models and put a world together that's VR capable, or how do you contribute? I mean, how it's...
So in order to have contribute, if there was a call to action early on. Like, if, for instance, if you want to be part of our list, I'll go ahead and put my email, and then we'll just go ahead and add you. But the way you've gotten, you would have been either part of Burning Man in the past, which were a part of that mailing list. And the reason people were able to contribute is because we're on the main website. So I just put in the website where you can have contribute. Since already passed, they're no longer accepting digital assets. But if you want to know more, like I said, I'm one of the co-producers there, to be able to do it for the near future. And again, we love to have anybody who wants to be part of this event for next year.
Yeah, so like even Broward Library contributed that job opening they had last year for part-time to do 3D scanning. So like I'll show you, I'll put the link in so you guys can see what I'm talking about. Basically these are high quality 3D scans of ancient African and African American artifacts. So this is all like Sketchfab, GLT, B file format that everyone's talking about earlier today.
Yeah.
So part of this is like a learning experience because like a lot of stuff was done through University of Arizona. So like even they didn't understand how to put this into a 3D environment. In the end, we didn't really figure it out, but it was worth trying, definitely. So so basically, a lot of the people that you would meet at a conference or a meetup, like it's more than just doing hi bye. If you actually have some reason to talk to and collaborate, especially a project like this, I think that's the best type of networking as well. And honestly, it was like you contribute what you can, what you have time for. Like you don't have to like. Some people like spend full time on it. I didn't. So it's up to you how you want to contribute.
Yeah, we were basically not agnostic. We took every type of digital assets and make it work. Again, that's why we were called the bridge. So whether you're Unity, Unreal, we make it work. That's essentially what turned out. And what turned out is one of the big virtual events the Burning Man ever had. So hopefully, with a little more time, we could definitely have gather more digital assets. So the time constraint was really the biggest factor for us.
Yeah, and plus, it also takes away the excuse that you're not in LA or something. Especially nowadays, there's no advantage to being in LA anymore. Especially right now. In fact, there's more advantage to being, in other places as well, because you actually have access to people that LA people don't have access to. I think so. That kind of really came out because I noticed a lot of people who were. So I was part of a lot of the verses besides the Miami one. I was part of the one in the UK, Germany, LA. So I saw a lot of same people, but definitely like the stuff that people like Scarlett and Miami built was just as high quality, if not more, in a lot of ways than stuff I saw my LA friends make. And in fact, if you guys know, I don't know, Anastasia's already logged off, but like Kevin Winston, the head of Digital LA, the largest digital media networking group in LA, he's a close collaborator of our user group. Like we met him last time, Paul and I, at Las Vegas for CES, and he came last December for our large Art Basel event. But he's actually going to be here this week, coming up this week. He's in Orlando right now. He's going to make a visit back to Miami. So anything we have going, then, we could promote in LA through him. Do a virtual meetup like we did last time he was here for us LA cohorts.
Yeah. I think the biggest takeaway is that like we kind of did all this as grassroots. We're all doing for free. It's all collaborative. None of us got paid. We're all volunteers, and it was definitely an experience. So, this is what would happen if people unite as grassroots to make something. And Praveen was an amazing part of that as well.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah, congrats. So, good job, Scarlett. I think we can't really officially knight you. It wasn't actually your thing, but
no,
at some point you'll be our first female knight.
Yeah.
Thanks, Scarlett.
Did you guys?
And I would say, honestly, the best part about working in it is the idea that this could go on for the whole year. Not like the partying and maybe that, but I mean the development from this and the mind-opening experience that this brings to you at a digital forefront. This will honestly, we're already talking to our friends, our burner friends who we're still talking about the ideas we talked about at the playa, and how this can develop to be maybe like a new renaissance of development to really bring on different kind of perspectives and all that. And we're very excited next year to see how new people can bring new things. And I think that's worth mentioning, that it's not about, LA now, only LA, it's about the whole world now. It's about really seeing if you have the time, the energy, and the passion, you can join us and build something different, something new. And I think that's worth mentioning, that, maybe the next big, Silicon Valley unicorn, it's going to be born out of a Burning Man virtual reality, experience. So I think that's worth mentioning.
Yeah. I want to just mention one very touching story that happened that most people might actually take for granted. Because the Burning Man experience takes down the plays, one of the most touching story that we got was a handicapped man that he always wanted to be part of a virtual platform that takes place in the playa, but because of the health issues, he was never be able to do that. So stuff like this, in terms of Unity, what they can provide, these virtual platforms, you are expanding people's ability to experience worlds that otherwise were not obtainable for many reasons. So you could have that digital representation. So the sociological and the psychological applications to these virtual platforms, it was very evident during this experience.
Yeah, it sounds like someone should do a master's or PhD thesis out of it at UM or FIU or something.
Yeah, so one of the things that we did was the emotional support aspect. So Burning Man has what they call rangers, and they address emotional supports, like somebody who's doing some stress in their life, but how do you represent that on a virtual platform? So we had to address that. It didn't even occur to me, honestly, because I'm very tech oriented, but we did address it, in case somebody has emotional support. How do you address that? We had rangers coming in and talk through people if they're going through something at that time. And again, these are all volunteers. So those are the type of experiences that, in terms of the sociology effect, that we really came across from.
Yeah, that's great. So let's open up the floor. We have 23 minutes left. We always try to end on time. If anyone has anything, this is open forum now. You can talk about anything you want, or any suggestions for future meetups, or if you want volunteers for your projects. Now's the time just to talk. No agenda now, just free form if you want.
Well, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just gonna say if anybody's interested in doing some 2D art for this game jam, this one button game jam, I think is pretty cool. Kind of relevant to what you guys were just talking about. The people who don't have the ability to normally participate in games and stuff like that. You know, this one button game jam I was talking about for basically people that are, you know, have ALS and can't really interact with a normal game controller, creating a game for them. It's a game jam. It's a 1 month game jam. So, you know, it's not a whole lot of commitment, but you know, as you can see by the game that I created, I'm not an artist, but I am making a 2D game, and it will suffer from my art if I can't find somebody who wants to do it.
Yeah, actually, like this might go to Anthony's points too. We actually have our collaborators at Unreal Engine, and Unreal Engine LA is actually very close collaborators of ours. And also a lot of Anastasia's, our friends, are actually in the, including Tim Stutz, who just logged up earlier. Tim Stutz was actually, like, him and his friends were the two accessibility people at Magic Leap. And Anastasia, the person I mentioned, her common friend, who told us about her new job at Magic Leap back in the day, he does a lot of accessibility. He does all the ally conferences in LA. So I think, like, if you want to do that, Angelo, I think we'll get a lot of people from Magic Leap and LA as well who would be interested in helping you.
Yeah, I mean, it's a game jam, so I want to try to knock something out. Get, you know, basically prototyping the UI this weekend.
So do you want to? When is the game jam due? Is there a time or?
It's I think October 25th.
Oh yeah, that's fine. So do you want to do do you want to do a meetup, and we can invite people from here and other cities, or?
Yeah, I mean, we might be able to do something like that. I don't know. I think it's you know, so finding people that are interested, I think, is just the main thing.
Yeah, I think though, like, people will tell their friends who are interested. You know, it might be hard for us to find the exact right person, but someone might know someone. I mean, I'm sure maybe we just go through Tim. Tim Stutz, that was his main job, his last thing at Magic Leap. I'm sure he'll know everyone locally at least.
Well, I mean, you know, it doesn't require somebody that has a particular expertise, just somebody that wants to do. I mean, the game that I'm doing, because of my limited experience, is a 2D game. So I think I'm trying to implement some, you know, the game concept is a space rover lander game, and I do want to implement, you know, some of the more advanced physics, some modeling that maybe outside of the physics engine, but I may just end up doing just the physics engine in Unity itself, just because it's you know, the 1 month. But the point is, it's just going to be a 2D game, but I think getting the UI right is going to be the biggest challenge. You know.
Okay. So, you know, what I was thinking is, if we do a meetup, maybe we could have people contribute to each other's games as well. But in particular, like the Dan Marino Foundation in downtown Fort Lauderdale, they're huge into that. They made a Magic Leap accessibility game. And I think they'd be very supportive. They're head of their foundation, and Dan Marino himself is very supportive of these type of things. If you guys saw my Twitter, we did the thing with the star Peanut Butter Falcon. He lives in Deerfield Beach, and we did like a dance contest with him. And so I think down here in South Florida in particular, I think there's a lot of interest. But anyways, yeah, I mean, yeah, we can run with that.
Hey, so is this Burning Man VR? Is it I guess it's hosted by some group or party?
I'm sorry, I don't understand the question. A group or party?
Yeah, well, I mean, there's an organization that's hosting it, right? We're not talking about something decentralized at all, right?
No, it's very much decentralized. It's basically a grassroots community that came together to build this.
Yeah, like on a decentralized network, like crypto, like on a crypto network, like Decentraland or something like that. I don't know if she's familiar with that.
Oh, I'm very much familiar with that. Well, we're going to have MetaBurn, the bridge experience for the rest of the year. So you could actually experience this. So if you want to experience MetaBurn, just go to metaburn.org, or if I actually put in the chat group the link from all the different verses. So there are different multiverses, meaning other different platforms that you could use. Some were made in Unity, some were it varies, and some were 2D, some were 3D. So you have what's interesting about this is like how the community come together and they'll have all this interpretation, and none of them are the same. You know, this is where it varies very different. So your experience will vary based on the platform.
So David, I think there's another phase coming up. So David is part of the Sacramento Bitcoin Center, or so to speak.
Oh, okay.
Name we have here in Miami. They call it Cap City, but but the thing about it is, so Paul and I met with the art galleries at Hard Rock Hotel Casino about a week ago, actually exactly a week ago, along with Vessa and some other artists who were part of our community. And the decentralized thing we want to do is want to create NFTs, non-fungible tokens. So people like Anthony, people who made art, want them to be able to have a gallery that we actually sell this art in as a token. And actually, Mary's helping us with that. Like Josh's sister. There's a whole since Art Basel canceled this year, there's a whole indie underground version of Art Basel going on. So we're trying to get Mary's and her friends are getting it all together. So the platform will be not just for Hard Rock, but hopefully we'll have all of Miami, every Art Basel event in Miami using this platform. So,
yeah, absolutely. So,
and also, David, if you want to participate in Sacramento.
yeah. That's one of the things, a big takeaway, because Burning Man, something I failed to mention is that we actually had NFTs within our Burn as gifts. So we, how do you give gifts on a virtual platform? So that was the solution. Artists design their gifts, and one of those limited edition, you can only get it during that time. So that's kind of going to be our spinoff for what we're planning to do late December, probably.
Cool.
Yeah, we couldn't lead with that though, David, because it's not, crypto isn't like that widespread or mainstream. I think would have turned more. We got into it. So.
No, it's all good. All good. No, definitely is cool. I mean, it from what I saw, it would be cool if something like that was permanently up there, decentralized, where anybody can join it, participate, and obviously if you're uploading stuff, maybe you have a DAO or governance that votes on approving things being added to the community and building it. I mean, it's just a kind of cool idea. I like the look of it, at least. So I'm big into those community things. That's why I've joined so many different small ones and want to partake, because I think there's something there in the long run.
So I think you could talk to Paul. I mean, he's helping design this right now. So I think Paul went to the meeting last week at Hard Rock Casino, and we're actually going to meet with the CTO of the Miami Dolphins in 2 weeks as well. So there's a lot going on in Miami, David. So, well, I think Paul will be a good person to be the liaison, I think, for some of this stuff between your Bitcoin Center and our Bitcoin Center.
I think right now I'm the only one really into the gaming space and crypto, but within my Bitcoin Center. But it's definitely like to people to see that there's more than just DeFi and in crypto. Yeah.
So Scarlett, so David, when they do events, they do awesome events, but they also have meetup that they partner with other people. So we could cross post the meetups here in Miami so they get more. It's especially when they're virtual.
Definitely, I'd love to do that.
Yeah, it's no longer limited because it is virtual. We like to host it, but the intersection of blockchain and XR is something that us in the community is working very heavily on. So and that's something that we're trying to build as grassroots. So definitely there's synergetic in that areas.
Cool.
Yeah.
Anyone else?
Yeah, probably. Hey, it's Anthony. Yeah, so I'm also still looking for some collaboration with my projects. I have those 2 game titles that I've shown you guys that I'm still, those are going to develop. And then after the Star Wars thing, after that's an MVP, I'm going to convert that to a totally different flying game that's non-Star Wars related, replace all the models and everything else with all original stuff. So I'm working on that, and then this Playa VR will keep upgrading, and we put a bunch of new toys in it that I didn't get to show. VR Poi and Fire Poi, and there's a drivable art car and all these other really, you can fly to some far out places. So if anyone wants to be involved in that, I know you guys aren't, some of you aren't Unreal users, but I'm looking for other 3D people, so a lot of that stuff, like the Star Wars thing, I didn't model everything and texture everything, so I'm really good at putting things together, and I like to work with other artists. But here in Miami, it's been hard for me, and a lot of my friends and colleagues are all international. Like the Playa VR was Australia and Egypt, and I was going to do some stuff with some people here, but it's been difficult in this area. So I would really like to connect with anyone who really creates, because I work on my portfolio and just demo stuff like every day. I'm learning Niagara and doing stuff, and I just want to find somebody to work with that is either making models and doesn't know how to animate them, or wants to see their stuff in VR, but other artists who just want to, work together to see, even if it's just making cool stuff. Like, so I'm trying to do something like Pacific Rim right now, and doing a kaiju type thing, and I want to have some particles or Houdini stuff, and I don't know Houdini yet. So
I just posted a link. This is the Film Freeway submission for the Miami Sci-Fi Film Festival. So if you guys scroll down, to the actual submission links towards the, where is this here? Nice.
You guys have a Discord? You guys have a Discord channel?
I do, yeah.
Yeah, there's a channel for FGD. I think, Angela, can you repost our Discord for the FGDA?
Yeah, sure.
So you see on the right for the Film Freeway for Miami Sci-Fi, we have the Sci-Fi VR AR, we have the drone cinematography, the game engine created content, AI generated content. So anything you create, there's plenty of time for you to submit. So you can, and the way this stuff works is, especially the AI and game engine, we've never done this category before. So this is a chance for you to submit something and get an award from a major film festival, because like usually the first year, no one knows about it. So your competition is going to be really light this year, I can tell you. But you'll still get the same kudos, whether you win this year or you win in 5 years when you have a lot of stiff competition, still the same prestige level award. So, and people have gotten like Netflix and other type of deals not based completely on our awards, but it helped them. So for example, the #1 Netflix movie in India right now, they say they came to our festival virtually in April, and they're really popular, and Netflix saw that on our YouTube and all everywhere else. And I'm not saying that's the only reason they got it, but then they got the deal with Netflix, which they've been trying for a while. And obviously they're probably just being nice, but they credited us for some of their success at least. And then and then the movie spoke for itself. It's #1 in India right now, India Netflix. So yeah, we're really good at promoting our filmmakers, people who present at our festival. And obviously, it also extends to anyone doing AR, VR, the game engine, AI stuff. So it's a community just like this is too. It's not someplace we want people to just come and leave. People want, we want the filmmakers to promote each other, like each other's Facebook posts and stuff, and make it a real community that you. And in person, people come from all over the place. We have a lot of people from Norway, of all places, doing sci-fi films. So. Yeah, so definitely take a look, and if you can work on something, you can submit it to the festival. So, I mean, think of it as a game jam, but more effort.
Yeah, I'm down if anyone wants to collaborate. That's what I was saying is I like to collaborate with people, especially anybody who's into technology and virtual production. And I shoot. I have you know, I'm a cameraman too, and I have a C100 and DJI.
Like when you talk to people in the industry, right? You know, tell them you're going to submit this to a film festival. I think there'll be a lot more interest than saying it's for a game jam. It's still the same work. It's just a different branding. You just have to have some elements to it, though.
Yeah.
So like Rod, right? So like Rod, you use Cinemachine, right, to make your opening cutscene. So that's something you could do. Just submit. Maybe you can update it a little bit, you know, but just submit your cutscene, and other people who have games, they can make a game trailer. As long as there's some sci-fi element to it and you made a majority in a game engine, you could submit it to, you know, that category. And then with Anthony, if you have, you know, if it's AR, VR, you can submit to both categories. And I guess the AI as well. You had some AI in one of your things. AI, we met more for screenplays this year though. So we do have other VFX categories, long-standing, regular VFX. People use Maya and stuff, Cinema 4D, separate categories. This year, game engine is just a separate category by itself. But it's gonna be a big deal. I mean, this is a way really to get on the map, because like, you know, like we haven't done this before, but you know, when we did the thing the first time we did it, we had huge interest from people from Magic Leap and from other people around the world too. And now this is virtual, people actually attend pretty easily from around the world. So good way for people to learn who you are.
Yeah, I'm gonna post a link in here, Praveen, because in a way I don't know what to do with this other than say it was something I created about 2 years ago for one of Unity's challenges, right, where you had to basically use Cinemachine as a tool.
So just take what you did and make some sort of like story around it, right? You know, have Baby Yoda being like, you know, kidnapped or something, or you know, you have all that there.
The link, so take a look at what you think about that, because that's no longer like a 2-minute scene.
Well, why don't you share play the video and share it? Share
Sure.
the I'll see it.
Sure. Let me.
I mean, you can do it the easy way too. You know, just submit what you already have. That's fine as well. But you have time to make something new if you want.
I don't know if you can see this or not.
Yeah, just no sound though.
Oh. This was basically taking free assets from the asset store, creating a cinematic, a sci-fi cinematic.
So how'd you do all the animation here?
It's all timeline. Unity timeline, Cinemachine, right, tracking behind her. There's a lot of post-processing. So basically the challenge was to use Cinemachine, post-processing, and timeline all together, because they had just released that stuff really about 2 years ago. And, you know, do it in like a 2-minute clip. And there were there was about 400 entries in this challenge. Now this didn't win anything. I'm just saying it was great. It's probably one of the better learning experiences that I had trying to get up to speed on those 2-3 tools. And they're like key to me for any Unity development.
So you did all like the walking and running animations in Cinemachine?
Well, I mean, basically, let me stop this.
I guess I'm not familiar with Cinemachine really, so I don't wanna, I was just curious.
Yeah, Cinemachine basically. I'm trying to find them. Okay, stop sharing. Stop sharing. Yeah, Cinemachine basically lets you set up cameras behind your actors in a scene, and so you set up cameras all over the place and use timeline to say, okay, cue you, you're gonna play, and then cue you, and of course all the objects have. You have to set up their animations and scripting. So in that scene, there was very little scripting. It was all just done with timeline, right?
Okay.
Timeline, kind of like one of your linear editors in Unity that just says drop a camera here, update it into that camera, move it from point A to point B, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But anyway, that was kind of the challenge was a sci-fi challenge to use those tools.
So let's do this then, Rod and Anthony and Angelo. So for Angelo, I'll create a meetup for the game jam he suggested, and we'll invite people who I think would be interested in joining, especially who are in the accessibility space. Like we'll have Tim Stutz definitely come and people like that. Rod, maybe if you want to do a meetup on Cinemachine and Timeline, I think that also will attract people to and also we'll say this is for the Miami Sci-Fi Film Festival. I think you'll attract people, potential collaborators from all over the place. So make it actionable. There's a set timeline, everything, and you'll be able to do set responsibility too. It won't just be open-ended, amorphous. And Anthony, if you want to do the same thing, I can do one for the Unreal Engine meetup, and that'll give you an opportunity to meet other Unreal Engine developers. And obviously everyone from this group can join that meetup as well.
Sure, that sounds great. And if you guys want to do something else too, if you guys need some sets or backgrounds, just because I use Unreal and you guys are using something else, if this for a film festival, I can render out 4K cinematics. And like I said, the good thing about Unreal is it has this huge asset library, and everything from Quixel Megascans is now free. So that used to be the most envious asset, and now everything they have is just free. So on top of Epic's huge asset library.
Yeah, so maybe instead of doing 2 separate meetups, maybe we can do one, with both you and Rod as the co-presenters, and that way I can bring in, we can have a larger audience, and also there might be some synergies between the Unity developers and Unreal developers.
Yeah.
It's a little bit tiresome sometimes for me to keep the 2 separate worlds apart, but if we do it through Miami Sci-Fi, maybe people understand it's for a film festival. We're not trying to merge user groups or anything.
Yeah, and I don't think there should be a problem with merging the user groups. I mean, it's a good idea for probably all of us for our careers and opportunities to learn both game engines. And when
the culture is not such that it wouldn't work.
Yeah,
you're easier on me, but it wouldn't work. So.
What's that?
Yeah, that wouldn't work. It'd be easy. It'd be easier on the organizers, but people who don't want that.
Oh, they don't want to cross the developers together.
There's a lot. I'm not sure. I think there's a lot of stuff. I don't know, but it's just. But we do like when we do the large events, like when Angelo did the and Scarlett and Paul, all of us, we did the Art Tech Miami, the large conferences last December, people from LA and stuff. That we did it combined, right? Because we had it's a statewide conference. I think we have a third event, then that's reasonable. So I think since we have the festival coming up, that's reasonable now, I think.
Yeah.
I'm in the camp where I don't think I don't care. We use a lot of crossover tools on both. I think I don't know.
Well, you notice on the Facebook, right? No matter what we do, sometimes we get pushback on certain members that people, old school members before you and I really started getting involved. So it's a lot of stuff that we have to be respectful of. I mean, FGDA has been around for almost 15 years now, long before you and I got involved in things that I don't even know about. But I don't want to, want to avoid the minefields.
Thanks for that link, Sadiq. I'll check it out. It's a Cinemachine.
So Angelo, let's just be concrete about the date. So do you want me to post the meetup like on as soon as I get Tim thoughts or other people to be involved? Or?
I don't know. I'm like, I don't know if it should be. What kind of meetup is it going to be, Prob? I'm like,
I mean, just like we did the other game jams, right? We have a meetup with the deadline being the deadline of the submission date, and because it gives the people a way to have something concrete and something being referred to.
Yeah, that's the point of the game jam. Yeah.
Yeah, if we just send like a message on Facebook or Discord, it can get people scroll up. That's like a message was from 2 weeks ago. People won't see it anymore.
So basically, you want to kind of do a meetup to educate in a way to say, look, here's how you put these tools together, and then create a game jam or a jam to say, let's use these and have everybody create something.
That's a good point. Yeah, I probably didn't think this through actually. Maybe something more similar to what Angela did of the weekly Discord meeting type thing. We actually want to make something. I mean, maybe we can do an initial meetup to get people interested, and then figure it out from there. Well, yeah. I mean, Angela, why don't you decide? And I think
I don't know. I guess I'm not sure what.
I guess the two options are: one is we can run it the way we ran the Strong 3D community game. We just have a virtual meetup at just like what Tuesdays, whatever you want to do. The other option is we can do. They're not mutually exclusive. The other option is the way we did the Miami Sci-Fi thing that Anthony and Rod presented today. We actually had a meetup, which is like 2 or 3 weeks off in advance. But the meetup had all the requirements and everything. But the day of the meetup, we basically had a live stream with live judging basically. So people could see the finished game at the meetup.
Hey, sorry, probably my internet just dropped, so I missed what you said. But I think I don't know. Just put the word out if anybody wants to get involved in the game jam. I think.
Okay. Can you put the link again in the chat so we all have it, and then
for what?
The game jam.
Oh, sure.
The one button, and then Rod and Anthony. What do you guys think about? Do you want to just do? Is there particular dates, good, bad, to get started? On Anthony, you would basically do the filmmaking 101 with Unreal, and Rod, you do it the same with Unity. But then we also put in the information for the festival too, and we promote this widely in LA and everywhere else we can.
Yeah. So what are you asking? Sorry.
What's a good date to do this? That you guys are free to do a meetup.
Oh, yeah, whenever, anytime. I'm pretty, I work for my studio, so.
Okay. Yeah, we'll bring in people from Unity and from Unreal who actually work there as well into this space. So we'll actually have the evangelists come out during the meetup. But you two would be the organizers, presenters.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah. So yeah, I'm pretty open. So.
Rod?
Yeah. Let me. I'm just looking at my October calendar. I got a whole bunch of weekend stuff. Yeah, I'm trying to think. I've got 2 projects kind of in mind where I could kind of rip them apart and put them back together and show those tools. So I guess I would envision a meetup kind of being like an hour or 2 step by step, right? Let's look at these 3 tools and about how you can use them. That could be pretty soon, I think. It's.
So do you want to do it as 2 separate meetups, or do you want to do combined?
Probably combined, right?
Okay.
Yeah, make them like a 2 hour, like an hour a piece, kind of. See how to use. Because I would love to learn on Unreal too. I think I've just got a barrier in a way with C++ as opposed to C#. It may be my problem. I don't know, but. In the blueprints, right? I've dabbled in Unreal. I just don't get it. And I think of something that I could learn, learn from that myself, right? So I'd be very interested.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are like that. Like we have an Adobe After Effects user group down here. And same thing, people think that Unreal Engine might as well be like nuclear fission. It's like not something they would ever understand.
Well, I found, I've only really been using it since about January. So before that, I was using Twinmotion to do some my VR stuff, and before that, we were using High Fidelity for a social VR platform, which I did not like that at all. I don't know if you guys know about that High Fidelity platform.
Yeah, actually, we did events with their CEO before they shut down.
Oh, Philip Rosdell?
Yeah, we did the Blockchain Gamer conference out in San Francisco. It's all
cool.
we live streamed it all in VR as well. He was a nice guy.
Yeah. So I actually came to Miami, got hired by a company to do development for High Fidelity, to make a world for this financial company, E.F. Hutton. I don't know if you remember back in the day, E.F. Hutton. When E.F. Hutton talks, everyone listens. Do you remember that back from the 90s and 80s? And they got bought out by Lehman Brothers, who of course, went belly up. And so anyway, they invested in VR and social media, and we were using this platform that is like, sort of like WordPress, an open source thing. But since it's VR, which is very complex, and like Unity and Unreal, they have hundreds of people working on this, but the High Fidelity had like 5 or 10 or a couple people who were part-time. So, our CEO was asking us to do all this crazy stuff, like, have the character animation and lip sync and everything, which wasn't possible in their platform. And it wasn't possible for me to figure that out as well. So,
I remember. Yeah, there was I think it was Spinnaker, wasn't it, came to that company?
We were Mega VR. Mega.
Yeah, I think there's a few vendors down here working on that same project.
Yeah.
Yeah, some of our members were talking about that for a while as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, anyway, I'm glad to be using Unreal, which is more powerful, and there's documentation, and there's people I can ask that have tried things that I wouldn't even dream of, and that are very technical. People all over the world are doing some amazing things right now with Unreal Engine, and it's, now everybody's using it for virtual production. So, instead of filming and setting up lights and everything, you rig your background on an LED screen or a projector and run it through Unreal Engine and a simulcam. And so you don't even have to light people, you don't have to composite out the lights and stuff, and you don't have to composite a green screen. It's all done in real time.
So do you want to do like a field trip, like actual in person at your studio, like we did at the robotics lab?
No, and I don't really have a studio right now. I just came back from England. I was over there for almost half a year, so I've been like post-pandemic trying to just survive in Miami. And yeah, I need to actually connect with somebody who has a virtual production studio. I have a couple of friends who are trying to build theirs, and and whatever. But there are people who are already doing that and have it. So for me, it's a matter of hopefully connecting with some of these people in Miami or Fort Lauderdale or anywhere in Florida, and people doing motion capture, the Rococo suits. They work really well with Unreal, and people who use iClone or Character Creator and Headshot. Like now it's getting really easy. I created like a Donald Trump, and I can make him say whatever I want, and put it into a game and just in no time. So there's all these new technologies and softwares this year, like the Headshot and Character Creator, which are just making doing this stuff a lot easier. Yeah, so I want to connect with anyone using some of those tools, and any way we can put that to use in the film festival or anything else.
Sure.
I'm ready for that.
Yeah, this is your first meetup, but yeah, we've had a few like that. We had one at FIU. We did like a virtual short film, but yeah, anyways, yeah, we'll get into that. And so I think we should end the meetup. I want to keep people. It's already 10:12. It's supposed to end at 10. So any last 30-second spiels? Anyone?
Thanks for everything.
Go ahead, Josh.
Thanks for everything. Yeah, I'm gonna get back to work on my Pokemon like now after seeing everyone's amazing projects.
All right, thanks, Josh. Anyone else?
Hey, Yeah, sorry, I clicked the wrong button. Nice meeting you guys. Thank you for the opportunity to show some of the stuff, and great to meet you guys all. And can't wait to see more stuff you guys create, and hopefully work with you guys, and see what you're making.
All right, guys.
Thanks, guys.
All right, thanks.
See you around.
Thanks.
All right. See you. Have a good weekend, everyone.
Thanks. You too.